all right. Ooh, welcome everybody to another BD Boxing podcast. Broadcasting to you live from the true north. This is a good friend, Mr. BDA, and I sure am glad. That's right, sure I'm glad that everybody could be on board for this one, fellas. In this episode, we've got a fantastic one for you as we explore a bevy of subjects that have come up in the last couple of days. A lot of news, a lot of things to get into, a lot of intriguing subjects, so we're going to get down right to it. Before we get down to the fun, however, let's get the business out of the way. Let's do it as quickly as possible. You guys know the drill. If you want to donate a couple of shekels our way, you're certainly welcome to do so via the Super Chat feature. You can also join the membership program. That way you get more bang for your buck. You can join the Patreon page for free or for as little or as much as you want. There's no obligation. Posted a free video over there about Terence Crawford, and I will be dropping more free videos as the week, as fight day comes along and gets closer here. You can also drop a couple of shekels via the Buy Me a Coffee app, link in the description below. But the most important thing that you guys can do is to like, you subscribe, and you spread that BDA gospel. All right? We always appreciate a good thumbs up. And, oh, wait a minute, that sounded kind of... See, it's too early in the morning, but that's the way it sounds, right? It sounds a little bit dirty.
Every muscle must be tight.
Oh, wait a minute, what? So shout out to everybody out there. Like I said, don't forget to like, subscribe, you spread the BDA gospel. Now, let's give a big shout out to everybody in the chat. I'm talking about Earl Stevens. Shout out to Earl. We got FST in the house as well. SSC. Shout out to SSC, one of the initiated. Alejandro Marquez, Earl Stevens, the Desperado. Rapax Trucking Company, 10-4. Shout out to Rapax. OG Blaze, Knockout Ned, Langsbury, Team Batman Boxing. Go check out his channel. A lot of good short videos on his channel. Shout out to Green Reaper, Fredo, JC, The Guns, J Will, 2 Matador, and many more people to come, I'm sure. Fellas, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. All right, before I get down to the subject on the description or on the title of this video, yesterday we had super middleweight action right here in my neck of the woods, Montreal, Canada, between Osleis Iglesias versus Vladimir Shishkin. You might remember Shishkin from the William School fight, where School managed to get himself a paper title, and that fight went the distance. This one did not. Osleis Iglesias stopping Shishkin in round 8. Now, it says KO 8. I didn't see Shishkin hit the canvas, but it was badly wobbled, badly hurt, and Osleis Iglesias went for the kill, and the referee waved it off. Interestingly enough, I checked on on Google, and it said that the main event was poised to start at about 10 p.m. So I'm doing a bunch of other stuff. I'm not paying attention too much. And then all of a sudden, I log in, and the fight's already started. It's in the 6th round. So I missed the first 6 rounds, but I did manage to catch the fight later on. And Iglesias, I got to tell you, real quick, this dude has taken over David Morrell as the next Cuban southpaw in the super middleweight division. And these Cubans, as we've mentioned before, are going for it now. They're no longer back foot bitching it like Lara and Rigondeaux. They're actually trying to fight and trying to use their power for good. And that is to create an exciting fight. And Shishkin, the way I would describe Shishkin is his Alexander Gvozdyk light. And that's really, hopefully, not that much of a disrespect towards him, but he's just a limited guy. And early on, he was catching Iglesias with a couple of good shots, but that was really it. Iglesias is, like I said, southpaw, aggressive, strings together some beautiful combinations like Morrell. He likes to go with those uppercuts. I still don't know how quite to describe it, but I think Iglesias has a superior guard than Morrell. Morrell maybe looked stronger. If I'm looking at Iglesias statistics here, first of all, by the way, don't trust Champignon.info all that much. They're still working out the kinks because they have Iglesias standing at 5 feet 9.5 inches tall. Boxrec has him at 6 feet 2.5 inches tall, which I think is more realistic. So I don't know what's going on with Champignon.info. They really got to get their act together. There was also Chicharito, what was his name? Chicharito Gonzalez, the guy that gave Bam Rodriguez a very tough fight back in 2023, I want to say. They had him listed as 34 years old. Meanwhile, he was 24 when I checked his record. So they still make some mistakes. Be that as it may, Iglesias again. I think he's a tall dude for the division, more or less. I don't know if he's as big as Morel. Maybe Morel, especially now at light heavyweight, he looks stronger too. Maybe more definition, more bulging muscles. But Iglesias already at similar stages in the respective careers already has a better win than Morel had going into the whatchamacallit, the Benavides. Actually, I shouldn't say better win. I should say better win because he did have that win over the Serbian Cholo, Kalajdzic. Morel did. But again, that was a very close fight, and he really looked bad in that one. Morel did. So Iglesias is on the right path. Out of the three Cuban punchers, it was him, Hernandez, who's at middleweight, and Ioannis Tellez at junior middleweight. Tellez just lost to that African dude from Germany, from Africa via Germany. And so there's two Cubans left to continue carrying the new Cuban school. So we'll keep an eye on Lacy Iglesias here. They're talking about him versus Canelo because apparently now he's just earned a number one ranking with the IBF. You would have to assume that if Alvarez beats Crawford, he's probably going to try to look for the Shiraz fight. So I guess Canelo won't be undisputed. He won't be considered undisputed anymore by those who pay a lot of attention to the whole undisputed in the four-belt era thing. But obviously he doesn't need the belts to make money, and he could still fight Shiraz and make a lot of money thanks to the Sheik. Now, interestingly enough, there's another big name here in Canada in the super middleweight division, and of course that's Christian Billy, who has a tough test ahead of him against Lester Martinez on the Crawford-Canelo undercard. So if Billy makes it out of that fight, maybe him and Iglesias could tango here in Canada. Although I don't know if they're going to want to risk their undefeated records against each other or one another, but hey, we shall see indeed. We shall see. What do we got in the chat here? Grim Reaper says, I watched the countdown episodes for Canelo Crawford on Netflix earlier. It wasn't bad. Good promotion. Made me more interested in the fight. Yeah, I got a couple of things to say about that as well. Sigma Human says, he's saying Bailamo in a mini concert. I don't know who's talking about. I think he's talking about Lacy Iglesias singing a little bit of maybe merengue or whatever they got down there in Cuba. Shout out to Tu Matador who says, Julio got some Cuban love. I don't know about that. James Burrell says, I can't believe Enrique Iglesias has had to resort to fisticuffs to make a living. So hey, by the way, but shout out to LT in the chat, Knockout Ned, to Matador. I was watching this again. I was trying to find out the real height for both Iglesias and Shishkin. And look at this photo that they have of Shishkin on Champignon.info. Look at that. Yeah, he doesn't look crazy at all in that photo, does he? Look at it. And is that a flame underneath him? He's hovering over a flame, so it's casting an ominous shadow around him. Look at those crazy eyes. The Limp Bizkit hat backwards. He looks like a fucking psycho. He looks like he's doing some satanic black magic or something. I don't know. I think they could have chosen a better picture. Well, actually, that's quite intimidating. So, no, you know what? Keep that one. Keep that one. All right, so as you guys know, we got the big fight coming up next Saturday. Oh, by the way, this Saturday, there's still a little bit of boxing. We got Sugar Nunez taking on the always tough and ready Christopher Pitufo Diaz. Sometimes you got to feel bad for Diaz. I mean, he's been to the ringer fighting some of the best. But the only guy that truly beat him up was Navarrete. Shakur Stevenson, again, like I said in the last episode with IBFP, I'd rather fight Shakur Stevenson any day of the week than a guy like Sugar Nunez. Because with a guy like Shakur Stevenson, if he beats you, you walk away with little damage. Your face is clean. You can go out clubbing that same night. Sugar Nunez and Navarrete, I don't know if you walk out of there walking straight. You know what I mean? So we'll see what happens with that one. But again, the big fight is Crawford-Canelo next Saturday. We're already in fight week. It's Friday morning right now here in my neck of the woods on the East Coast. So that means that in a week from now, we are going to be ready for the weigh-in. And that's only going to amp up things way more. If you're like Gypsy Boxing, you're the type of guy who waits to see the weigh-ins before you make a pick. I'm really curious about who Gypsy Boxing is speaking for this one. Hopefully he comes back. He makes a comeback on Fight Week. All right, so the title of this video is Can Crawford Bully Canelo Alvarez? And I don't know if you guys remember, but I've been saying this for a couple of episodes now, that is Terence Crawford going to try to throw everybody out for a loop, throw a monkey in the wrench, and try to walk Canelo down. Because only a few people have tried it with little to no success. And Crawford can fight going forward. It's not, I don't think it's his best suit, his strong suit, but he managed to do it against Aegis Kavaliauskas and ended up stopping him. Now, of course, there's differences between Kavaliauskas and Canelo. We're going to get to that. But I asked the question to Never Sobers last week. I asked it to IBFP in the last episode. And, their opinion is that maybe it won't work, but perhaps Crawford is crazy enough to try it. And listen, this fight is crazy enough. A year ago, people thought it was a crazy fight. Now it's happening. So is it really that outlandish to envision Crawford trying to go against conventional wisdom and try to back Canelo up? Well, Stephen Bradman Edwards, who is very high on Crawford, has sort of toned down his assessment a little bit, but he sort of concurs with the idea that Crawford might try to be more aggressive than people expect him to. Because again, that's what people are looking to. That's the narrative, that Crawford's going to box and Canelo's going to come forward. Turkey Al Sheikh said, no more Tom and Jerry fights. So this narrative is being weaved about how the only way Crawford can win is by boxing. And then on top of that, Bomac has recently said that Crawford is really not as small, that he kept him in that welterweight division when he should have been fighting at super middleweight years ago. And I think it was Crawford's strength and conditioning coach said that they're going for a knockout. Oh, and then on top of that, Bomac said that they don't believe Canelo is a harder puncher going into this fight. So let's see what Bradman Edwards had to say. This was an interview he did with the VIP crew, and let's have a gander.
I'm going to tell you what my dark horse would be in this fight. I'm going to tell you when Bud fought Earl, I kept telling people I think Bud is the puncher in the Earl Spence matchup. Even though Earl was looked at as the puncher, I said I think Bud is the puncher in this fight. In this fight right here, Bud is going to be the more physical guy.
Wow.
I think that's going to surprise people. I think that Bud is going to be the guy pushing Canelo around and being rough with him and mauling him and just having superior physicality. I don't think it's going to show up early, though. I think it's going to show up later as the fight goes on.
Wow.
And I think that's where he's going to separate himself. I think he's going to be the more physical guy, the rougher guy, the guy who's initiating the physical, pushing and mauling. I think he's going to be that guy in the fight.
Now, hold on. Let me see if there was more to it.
What would be the ultimate surprise ending to this fight for you?
No, that's pretty much it. I mean, listen, people in the chat are laughing. I'm not saying it's going to work, that approach of Crawford trying to back Canelo up. But I think he's going to try it at some point. Like Bradman said, maybe not early on, but at some point, he's going to try to say. I think they're going to really try to test and see how Canelo's power feels. And then they'll take it from there. I mean, Crawford can try that, but then if it doesn't work out, he can always try to go back to plan A, the one that most people are expecting, which is box him. Box him off, try to box Canelo off the back foot. Now, Earl Stevens says the only evidence he has is oil wrestling, which Coach Malachi, come on, leave Coach Malachi out of this. But I mean, people are saying, has this ever been done? Has Crawford ever done something similar, pushing a strong opponent back? And the way Bradman Edwards was making it out is that Crawford's going to bully and outmuscle Canelo. So that means what? That he's going to fight him on the inside, close, head to head or chest to chest, kind of like Andrew Ward used to do to guys like Alan Green and Edison Miranda. I don't know. I've never seen Crawford do that. And people keep bringing up Crawford's wrestling background and how he can deadlift 500 pounds. And we didn't see any of that against Madrimov. Didn't see much of it against Sean Porter or against Kell Brook or against Kavaliauskas, because he did back Kavaliauskas, but it was a different approach. Against Kavaliauskas, he was backing him up, coming forward and keeping him at a distance, keeping him in range. And then little by little, he would sometimes try to break Kavaliauskas to the body at mid-range. But he never really actually tried to, wrestle with Kavaliauskas. So I don't know if he's going to really try that against Canelo. But there is a precedent to Crawford doing that, and that was against Kavaliauskas. Now, of course, you guys already know where I'm going with this. Canelo's no Kavaliauskas. He's got a better punch selection, better defense. He's stronger, bigger than Kavaliauskas. And at this point, he's younger than Crawford. And Crawford, when he managed to push Kavaliauskas back, that was 6 years ago. And not for nothing, but Crawford had to walk through some heavy firepower to get through that. He could do that at welterweight. And again, a younger fighter. Well, how old was he? 32, 31? Damn near or around his physical peak. To do that against Canelo, I mean, listen, there's only been two guys who have been crazy enough to go after Canelo consistently. And that was James Kirkland and Liam Smith. In a lot of ways, James Kirkland was to Canelo what Spence was to Crawford. Two guys that were crazy enough to just keep coming at their opponent, but they were essentially walking into a wood chipper. So the more they tried, the more they got worn down. And it was the same thing with Kirkland. And again, that fight was 10 years ago. So how much can we really, can Canelo still do that? But Kirkland jumped on Canelo, managed to stun him in the first round with a left hand. And Canelo then, a couple of seconds later, managed to hurt and then drop Kirkland. So jumping on Canelo is not that great an idea. The other guy was Liam Smith. Liam Smith tried. He didn't, maybe because he didn't have a plan B, or maybe because he thought his best shot was to try to land one good liver shot on Canelo Alvarez. But he just kept going forward, and the more he advanced, the more he pressed, the more he got worn down. Those are the two guys that I can remember who have tried it. Another guy who tried it briefly was Miguel Cotto. He was getting outboxed for about 5 rounds by Canelo, going into the 8th round, I believe. And Freddie Roach told Cotto, look, listen, you got to back this guy up because boxing off the back foot, he has the momentum. He's outboxing you. So Cotto tried that early in the 8th, and he got pieced up. There's a beautiful 10, 15-second sequence where they started trading, and Canelo's making him miss and making him pay. And then he shakes him up with a hard right hand. And after that, Cotto reset and then started circling away again. Like he realized, holy shit, I can't exchange with this dude. And that's Miguel Cotto, a guy who went to war against good, strong guys at junior welterweight and even super welterweight. But against a strong middleweight like Canelo, younger guy, he couldn't do it. So again, if Crawford does try to press, and even if he tries to press, but from the outside, from long range, like 1-2, and then step back, and then keeping that lead hand on Canelo's face, just trying to annoy him. Canelo's very good at defend, like I said, making you miss, making you pay. Yeah, his stamina can somewhat be suspect, but from what I'm hearing and the way I'm seeing it, Canelo's really training for volume in this one. So we'll see. I'm really interested to see if this approach is going to work. I want to hear what people have to say in the chat. Don't forget to hit that like, fellas. Hit that like, hit the like, hit the like. It really helps us out. Sina Musia says Canford gonna have Sahara sand in his gloves. they're gonna put some. So I like that. Yeah, I'm not saying he cheated or anything. I'm not accusing him of that. But it was you have to admit it was very strange to see Crawford's gloves explode twice in his career now. It's rare enough. It's an anomaly for it to happen once, twice, and again, it could be a coincidence. Even though I don't believe in coincidences, but it could be. But I don't understand why a lot of guys don't bring that up. That the media didn't want to touch it. It was weird. Earl Stevens says Bud will try a hard shove to prove his strength to impress Coach Malachi. Oh, come on. he's still going after Coach Malachi. Doesn't Coach Malachi have enough trouble now with some of the callers he has, threatening to assault him and whatnot? Pancho Villa says, Green Peeper, this ain't women's boxing. Crawford has 0 chance. I don't know about 0 chance. See, I think the last thing you guys want to do is underestimate either guy. Serg Lowfire says, Munguia was getting rocked around all night. General Defcon says, General Defcon Go Trilla says, Crawford is no dog as they think. We saw this versus Madman at 154. Yeah, that's the other thing. People keep saying, well, Madramov's a different fighter. I don't see Canelo and Madrimov as being that different. I pointed that out in one of our videos that we did, that, yeah, maybe Madrimov is a little bit more athletic with his feet, maybe more explosive, and he tends to leap forward more sometimes. But for the most part, he doesn't have as good a guard as Canelo. He's not as strong as Canelo, not as defensively sound as Canelo. I don't think he's as good a counterpuncher as Canelo. Canelo punches and leads better with both hands, whereas Madrimov sort of relegated himself to one punch at a time. Dr. Mofongo says, we did see him shove Spence back early on in their fight. Absolutely. That's Spence is a come forward guy, and whenever he tried to muscle Crawford seemed like a stout target, barely moved. So the strength is there, but whether he can deadlift 500 pounds and whether he can pin grown men in front of their girlfriends in public settings, This is boxing. This is not wrestling. You don't, there's different types of strengths, and you just because you're a good wrestler or you can deadlift 500 pounds. Canelo's still a very strong guy himself. Him and Golovkin, two of the strongest middleweights we saw in the last 15, 20 years, they couldn't move each other. They were the only two guys, the two immovable objects against each other. And I haven't seen anybody be able to match, even Davyachenko against Golovkin. Davyachenko really gave Golovkin trouble because he just kept firing. But because he just kept firing, he caught a lot of shots too. And Davyachenko was I don't know. I wonder if something was taken out of him in that fight. Grim Reaper says, common sense says Canelo wins, but if Crawford can do something special and make history, I'm here for it. Sina Macia says, mean machine just gassed. You know what? That's another point there, Sina Macia, because Kavalauskas was undefeated at the time. He was coming off a win over Avenisian, I believe. I think he stopped Avenisian. But then he gassed and he got stopped. And I think he gassed because Crawford had something to do with it. But then we saw about 2 years later, we saw Virgil Ortiz do the same thing to Kavalauskas. And I think he did a little bit better than Crawford. Because, okay, yeah, Ortiz did get hurt in that fight. I don't think he got, some people say, Kavalauskas dropped him. And just like in the Crawford fight, they didn't call it a knockdown. I've seen that fight numerous times. They, after he hurt Ortiz, a couple of seconds later, they both exchanged right hands. And Ortiz fell because of against his own momentum. I didn't see him getting caught with a punch and then go down. But be that as it may, Virgil Ortiz, once again, story of Crawford's life. Every time he beats a good opponent, or not every time, but twice now, that he beats a good opponent, Ortiz comes along and does it a little bit better than he does. I'm talking about the Kavalauskas and Madrimov fights. So, Kavalauskas, okay, that was a good performance from Crawford. It's true. I was impressed with how he was able to back him up and stop him. But then again, Virgil Ortiz did it. Why isn't Virgil Ortiz considered special? Still, some people still regard Jaron Ennis better than him, and Jaron Ennis hasn't done as much as Ortiz has done already. Ortiz already with his wins over Boachuk and Madrimov, and yeah, the Boachuk fight was very, very close, but that's still better, two better opponents and two better wins than Jaron Ennis has. What are Jaron Ennis' best wins? Stanionis and Avenisian? There's good wins, don't get me wrong, but they pale a little bit in comparison. And that's the other thing, when people say Madrimov gave Crawford a tough fight, but hey, that's Madrimov has a tricky style, or styles make fights. But remember, Crawford's supposed to be special. That's what I keep hearing from people. Oh, Canelo's basic, as if that's a bad thing. By the way, Canelo's basic. Well, Virgil Ortiz is basic ass because he's basic too, right? He was able to beat Madrimov too. He didn't do anything special. He's not a complicated, unorthodox fighter like they make Crawford out to be. And he was able to beat Madrimov with fundamentals. So we can see that this whole thing of, well, this guy's basic and this guy's, unorthodox and he's more loosey-goosey. He's like an improvisational jazz musician. He's got a whole bunch of features. I mean, Ortiz didn't have any of that, really. He's got power. He's got good technique, good defense. And he was able to back Madrimov up and beat him. No thrills, no frills. So does Canelo have to be special to beat Terence Crawford? I don't know. I don't think so. James Burrell says, I credit the Madrimov comparison, but the guy nearly beat Crawford and Canelo is more skilled and robust. Yeah, that's a good point right there. Casamigo says, Crawford can deadlift the equivalent of 2 Bomacs. Man, that's a lot. That's a lot of weight right there. Langsbury says, if the fight goes 12, and I think it will, then who wins? I reckon it's 50-50. Yeah, Teddy Atlas was talking about the judges, all the, the close fights, they always go to Canelo. Everything that is being shown here indicates that the Sheik wants Crawford to win. And I've said it before. Again, people could say that's crazy, BDA. Canelo has gotten the benefit of the doubt with the judges before, like in the first Golovkin fight, the Mayweather fight. First of all, if you look at the CompuBox, Canelo landed about 100-something shots on Mayweather. So people say, well, he was, Mayweather schooled him. How the hell is he getting hit with 100+ shots if he's schooling him? That's something to consider right there. So maybe it's, is it that crazy that one incompetent, these judges are old and senile. Maybe that's why one of them gave a draw to Canelo. But I keep hearing people say after Lomachenko, Haney, people kept calling in here saying, hey, man, the judges, they're professionals. You can't go against them. They saw what they saw. You can have your own opinion, but you're not a trained professional. Well, you had one trained professional there give Canelo a draw against Mayweather. Now, all of a sudden, the judges are stupid. Which one is it? Because I agree that the judges are, for the most part, they can be incompetent and or corrupt. But you can't pick and choose and say, oh, these judges are the best, they're skilled professionals, and then in another fight go, no, that was a robbery. But what I wanted to say about that is that everything indicates, a lot of things indicate that the Sheik wants Crawford to win. The way he keeps posting pictures of a young Crawford on his Twitter, the fact that he holds hands with Crawford, they're prancing around holding hands. The other thing is the media too would like a Crawford win because, hey, it makes a hell of a story. It's something that they can sell more. But if Canelo beats Crawford, a lot of guys are just going to say, oh, he only beat him because he was bigger, and shout out to Crawford, for daring to be great, blah, blah, blah. But if Crawford wins, that's a hell of a story for everybody. And not for nothing, but, there might be a little bit of American bias here as well. Then again, somebody mentioned in the chat in the last episode that maybe Turki Al-Sheikh wants Canelo to win because he said that Crawford at one point had been badmouthing the Sheikh, the Saudis, and that maybe, again, this is a bit of a stretch, but you never know, that the reason why he picked Andrew, no, excuse me, no. The guy in the chat said that Andrew Ward, I think, had been besmirching the Saudis a little bit, and I think Max Kellerman as well. I forget which one of those two guys. So, in other words, the guy's theory was that the reason why Andrew Ward and Kellerman are there as commentators is because the Sheik wants to humiliate them. It's a humiliation ritual. They're going to watch their guy, Terence Crawford, get beat. And maybe that's what Turki Al-Sheikh wants. I don't know. That's a bit of a stretch to me, but I guess we'll have to wait until fight night to see what's up. But that was Bradman Edwards saying that he believes Crawford is going to try to bully Canelo, try to out-muscle him and be the boss in that fight. Now, a lot has been made about resumes. I'm going to play you a video later on here of Teddy Atlas talking about the intangibles and how resumes don't jab. So in other words, he's sort of countering the notion that when people started comparing Crawford and Canelo's resumes and saying, well, Canelo has a better resume, therefore he wins, that he's saying resumes don't win you fights, which is true to a certain extent, but we're going to take a closer look at what he has to say. But I also want to point out how some people sort of have double standards, so don't actually think about what they're saying, because Ring Magazine just posted on YouTube, they posted a compilation of the predictions that they've gathered from some of the so-called experts out there and professional fighters as well and trainers. And check out what Shakur Stevenson had to say.
Like GGG, Bivol, Floyd, I thought all of them had a great jab.
Right, because they're talking about what it takes to beat Canelo, and they were talking that one of the things that you need is a good jab.
Okay.
Like, I thought all of them had a great jab. I thought Bivol jab was insane. I thought Triple G jab was amazing too.
Yeah, that's his. Yeah, I just think he also wasn't afraid though to let the right hand go afterwards. Like Kovalev was throwing jabs the entire night, just jabs against Canelo. I think at some
just
point
was a different version of like Kovalev. Like, we're gonna be honest, it wasn't the same.
You're right.
Kovalev after he fought Andre Ward.
All right, so he's talking about first of all, he's got the snack hat there. So that's, I don't know what type of message he's sending, because Snack is working with Crawford. But you just heard what he said. He said Kovalev wasn't the same after his guy, Andrew Ward, got done with him. And I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. Obviously, I think, the Kovalev versus Andrew Ward fight, the rematch was in 2017. And then the Canelo fight was 2 years later. And Kovalev had gotten stopped by a later Alvarez in 2018. However, Sergey Kovalev was coming off 2 good wins in 2019. He had the Elader Alvarez rematch where he looked good, he looked sharp. In the first fight, I have to assume there was something wrong with him, because in the rematch, he looked much sharper. And we already know that Kovalev the rumor was that he wasn't training properly, he was drinking. At that point, he was starting to catch up to him. That's what his former trainer, the rat, as they call him in the streets, Jackson, what was his name again? John David Jackson, ended up going to Andrew Ward's team, allegedly, and spilled the beans and said that Kovalev was weak to the body because of the lack of training. But be that as it may, he did look sharp, Kovalev did, in the rematch against Elader Alvarez. Actually gave quite a beating to Alvarez in that fight, pounded him with those straight shots of his. And then, of course, he beat up the very strong and young Yardy. Now, of course, Yardy did have success in that 6th round, was it, or 7th round against Kovalev, where we had him reeling. But that was really it. In between, Kovalev just beat the crap out of Yardy with that jab. So Kovalev was going in there with momentum into the Canelo fight. Was there a bit of a short turnaround? Maybe. August to November. But I mean, August to November, that means he could have taken 2 weeks off and resumed training. That's about a 2-month training camp right there. And what I'm trying to get at here, though, is that Shakur Stevenson, that Kovalev was on a good run, and Shakur Stevenson just dismisses that win as, he wasn't the same after the Andrew Ward fight. Andrew Ward didn't lay a beating on Kovalev. The first fight, a lot of people say Kovalev got robbed in that one. And then in the rematch, it was still very close up until Ward hurt him with a right hand and then proceeded to pull an Andrew Golada on him, really using his nutsack as a speedball, as a speed bag, and the referee waved the fight off. So it's not like Andrew Ward laid a career-ending beating on him. So I don't know what Shakur Stevenson is talking about. And also, if you want to say that Kovalev wasn't at his best at that point and was past it, how come that's not called an excuse? Because whenever you bring up that Errol Spence wasn't the same guy against Terence Crawford, all of a sudden, no excuses, no excuses. It's not about excuses. It's about gauging how good an opponent is and how good fighter A and fighter B is based on their performances, their respective performances. And you have to wonder, and we've said it for years now, ever since the fight happened, how good was Terence Crawford and how good was Spence when he fought Terence Crawford? So if Spence was compromised, okay, listen, I give Crawford credit for wiping the floor with him because he made it look easy, whereas I think other lower level fighters might have beaten Spence that night. I don't know. We'll never know. But I don't think they would have been able to do it as easily as Crawford did. So he does deserve credit for that. But again, you're only as good as your opponent. And how good was Spence on that night? With the drinking, with the, having tits in between training camps. He said it himself. He would blow up to 170-something pounds. The boozing, let's not forget, Spence ended up admitting that the boozing got to him. The car accident, the 1-year layoff, having 2 fights only since 2019, or 2020 rather. That didn't make any difference. So when Shakur Stevenson says that Kovalev wasn't at his best when he fought Canelo, I would like somebody to ask him whether he feels the same thing about Errol Spence when he took on Crawford. But I suspect we're not going to get a straight answer from him. What are people in the chat saying? Hey, fellas, don't forget to hit the like, hit the like, hit the like, hit the like. Really helps us out. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this early edition of the BD Morning Show. It's always an early edition with the morning show, of course. That's redundant. But hopefully you guys are enjoying it. Let's see what people are saying in the chat. Mike Ramirez says, after the 4th round, we will see Canelo versus School again. Oh, hopefully not, man. Hopefully not. I can't go through another experience of that nature. That was traumatic. Langsbury says Spence wasn't the same when he went looking for his jaw after a Nugas punch. We knew. Yeah, no. And don't forget, he did the same thing against Danny Garcia. He got hit with a good right hand. His mouthpiece dropped, and he followed it around as if he was a lobotomy patient. Broughton Boxing says Canelo put a weight class on Sergey. Well, Buddy McGirt said that that's not true, so I don't know where people got that from. Sina Macias says, I hope Vodkalev, Vodkalev, that's a good one, planted his seed before the Ward fight. Shout out to Dex 2024. Dennis F says, wagering Kovalev. General Defcon Go Triller says they're going to have to load Bud's gloves again. Earl Stevens says, you'll never see Chris Mannix interview a non-Afro-Anglo boxer. Okay, what does that mean, man? Two Matador says, Snack Poster Boy. Oh, yeah, that's Snack, man. He says, indeed, before the War fight, there was a rehydration clause against Sergey Kovalev. Was it really? I've never heard of that. Maybe that's true. I don't know. Who knows? I mean, I need some documentation on that. Random guy says, Buenos dias, BDA, salúdame tu hermana. I already told this guy I don't have a sister. I don't know why he keeps fantasizing that I have a sister. What else? Okay, so here's the other video I want to play. This is Teddy Atlas, who we know how he feels about Canelo Alvarez. And look at the, hopefully you guys can see the thumbnail here. Hold on. All right, hold on a second. All right, here we go. We can see the thumbnail. Oh, wait a minute, hold on. Shout out to who just came along and donated with the super chat. 1 foot out the door. Shout out to 1 foot out the door. Really appreciate it, man. Shout out to him for his generous and juicy super chat. Shout out to him. He says, Canelo lands, fuck your feelings. Canelo, you know what? We're going to have to start turning that into a phrase. Hey, instead of landing a bomb or landing a hard punch, he's going to land that fuck your feelings. Hey, by the way, I'm taking predictions, and we're gonna keep taking predictions as the fight week gets nearer, or as we get into fight week, rather. You know what I mean. And we're taking predictions. Bucho is gonna be doing. I think he said he plans on doing a lot of call-in shows. Oh, by the way, Boxing Chief, if you're listening, I didn't get a chance to reply to you on the Discord, but I think, I'm not sure. I'd have to ask him, but I think Bucho is doing a kumite today. And if a kumite doesn't work out and people don't jump on or didn't sign up for the kumite, then I suspect he will be doing a open lines, open Discord show. But yeah, we're taking predictions, so make sure to call in. I'll try to get them now, a couple of them, but certainly we're going to have a call-in show on fight week, perhaps as early as Monday, so you guys can call in and give us your thoughts on predictions on the big fight. Now, check this out, guys. But shout out to One Foot Out the Door for his contribution. Really appreciate it. Check out this video here from Teddy Atlas. But by the way, he needs to get a sound guy because the sound was really low. They need to get some compression or something. Endless intangibles. This is the thumbnail for Teddy Atlas's latest video, posted it 18 hours ago. Endless intangibles. Because he's been talking about Crawford and the intangibles and the X factor and how he's going to use that to beat the larger Canelo Alvarez. So let's see what old Teddy Atlas has to say about that.
There's a lot of people saying that, listen, Terence Crawford is 37 years old now going into this fight. He's the older man. We know he's the smaller man.
Hold on, I got an extension here that allows you to boost up the volume in YouTube videos, because I'm telling you, it's really low for some reason.
He's jumping up all the way to 168. And some are picking holes in his resume. What would you say to those naysayers?
I would say I love Crawford.
Did you guys hear just hear that? I love Crawford. That's the American media and a lot of the boxing media as a whole. They love Crawford. I think it's because a lot of these guys were anti-PBC, or they had an acrimonious relationship behind the scenes with the PBC. And Crawford, like I said earlier, he represented the anti-PBC. Everything again, he got shut out of the PBC fights. He couldn't get the best welterweights because of the PBC. He was seen as the anti-establishment guy, even though he was with Top Rank. I think he was the highest paid welterweight at that time, even more than Spence. I think I've heard that being thrown around. So I don't understand why people see him as the underdog. But there you have it. Teddy Atlas loves Terence Crawford. Excuse me. He loves Terence Crawford. Let's hear that again.
To those naysayers.
I would say I love Crawford. I would say he passed. I would say he passes the eye test. Yeah. I would say the resume is the resume. He passes the eye test. Everyone he's been in there, he's won convincingly. I know with the Matrimore fight.
So far we've gotten from Teddy Atlas in this fight. His breakdown is the intangibles are going to win Crawford this fight, and that Crawford passes the eye test. I mean, does this sound like any other different from any other comment you can read on YouTube? I mean, I'm waiting for Teddy Atlas to say Crawford has that dog. That's all I'm waiting for. I mean, would anyone be surprised?
I'm moving different. This shit ain't nothing to me, man. I'm a dog. I'm a dog.
I mean, I gotta tell you, this dude, the intangibles, the eye test, and I love Terence Crawford, followed by the giddy laugh, a giddy giggle, like an Asian schoolgirl. Ooh, Crawford, he's so fine.
People.
Now I know the people over at Sobers are gonna take that and use it as a soundbite.
Want him to win big. It was his first time stepping up in weight to 154, and it was a guy with 300 amateur fights. Only had 10 pro fights, but he had 300 amateur fights.
What the fuck? He's having an aneurysm. Look at that.
With 300 amateur fights, only had 10 pro fights, but he had 300 fights. Only had 10 pro fights, but he had 300 amateur fights. With the best international fighters in the world.
All right, so Madrimov made Crawford look bad with only 10 professional fights, but hey, that's because he had 300 professional amateur fights. First of all, his resume, his amateur resume pales in comparison to Lomachenko, Rigondeaux, and some of his other, Usyk. And again, those guys were the upper echelon of the amateur system. But the way they make him out to be, 300 amateur fights. Yeah, that counts for something. But this is a professional fight, and Madrimov had only gone 12 rounds against lesser opposition, had never really gone 12 rounds against one of the top guys, although he did manage to stop some of the top guys he fought at 154, like Soro and Kurbanov. So that just goes to show you how good he was, and he was good. Hey, I told people Madrimov was going to give Crawford a tough fight. But again, a guy with 10 professional fights.
In the world, and he had a very deliberate style, a very distinct style, a very awkward style in its own way. So
it is true that Madrimov does have an awkward style, and even Crawford admitted afterwards that it was the feints that gave him a lot of trouble.
So people don't look at that. They don't look at the things, obviously, that I'm looking at, being a trainer, being in the business of boxing my whole life, 50 years of it. So
50 years, and all he can come up with is the intangibles and the eye test.
I'm not disputing that Canelo has a better resume. I'm not disputing that. That's not disputable. He does. But I've picked and I've seen through the history of this sport, many fighters beat other fighters that had better resumes than them. Yeah, it comes down to styles, and it comes down to how consistent you are in the areas you need to be consistent with the talents you have and how you put those talents forward versus the other guy's talents. I think that Crawford will deal with the bigger man with his timing, with his legs. I know he's 37 years old, but he's not a used up. I used the analogy earlier of a car. This ain't a car with...
Oh, here goes to the Atlas with the analogies. So when you got a basement and you got to waterproof it, but sometimes they get it wrong. It's like, whoa, come on. And I think you're going to see here in this clip where he's probably going to do it. I would bet that where he starts talking normally and then he starts getting more and more worked up.
A lot of miles on the odometer, buddy. But it's not... I know he's 37 years old, but this is like going and looking at one of those vintage classic cars, and you look at it and you say, oh, I love that car, man, but I love that car. I love that car. You look at it and you say, oh, I love that car, man, but it must have I don't know, and the motor must be getting old, this must be getting old, and then the guy says, no. It hasn't been on the road that many times. I've kept it in good condition in the garage. I've never taken it on a lot of tough drives. I've never gone crazy and started driving in, into terrain that would wear it.
By the way, people keep saying that about Canelo is he's been through a lot of wars. Crawford's fresher. Canelo, though, has been through a lot of wars. Which wars has he been through? The last time I remember him in a war was against Gennady Golovkin in the rematch. The third fight was kind of uneventful. The Bivol fight, Bivol just outboxed him. He's had more fights, that's true. When people bring that up, he's had more professional fights. And yeah, that can have a lot of wear and tear, especially after all those training camps. But when people say wars, I haven't really seen the wars that they're talking about. He's had some fights where he has to push himself, like against Berlanga and Munguia. There's a lot of contact in those fights. But wars, haven't seen them.
Out. And then you say, oh, okay, even though it's an old car, it's a fresh old car. It's not used up. And that's how I look at Crawford, really, through those same kind of lens where, yeah, he's 37 years old. He's not used up. He hasn't been in a million wars. He takes care of himself. He lives the right life. He's a family man. I'm not concerned about that. I'm not.
By the way, see how he just starts reaching for everything? He takes care of himself. He takes care of his health. He's a family man. What does a family man have to do with it? Like he's just staying at home? First of all, and I don't want to cast this is none of my business, but family man, the guy isn't married. He's got a whole bunch of kids, and he just recently is going to have a kid with another woman. And that I think the same thing goes for Canelo, right? I think he's got like a different progeny with different women. So again, I'm not casting aspersions saying one guy's better than the other, but that doesn't sound like a family guy to me. So I don't know where we're taking the athlete, and I don't even know what it has to do with the fight, with winning the fight, right?
Family man, I'm not concerned about that. I'm not saying it can't show up. You never know when Father Time's going to show up, but I'm not going in there saying I'm really worried about that. In some ways, I might say I'm more worried about Canelo getting old, even though he's a couple years younger. He's 3 years younger. I'd be more.
Two Matador says Teddy's transmission is starting to slip. Yeah, if we're going back to the car analogies, that transmission is starting to jam up a little bit. You know, Teddy Atlas talking about Father Time coming for you. I think Father Time came from him a long time ago. Time to lock him up in the home or something. By the way, real quick, shout out to Random Guy. Shout out to Random Guy for his contribution via the super chat. He says, Bud fans are the new Wilder fans, BDA. I mean, they weren't that annoying. The Spence fans were more annoying than them. So, you know, it was easier to root for Crawford against Spence. If you're really bothered by that, you know, like, oh, I want this guy to win because of his fans or whatever. But the Bud fans, or as they call them, the Bud sexuals, they're really they're getting annoying. You know, I was listening to D-Styles the other day, and he made a good point. He said, we're hearing things now about Crawford coming into this Canelo fight that we never heard, even going into the Majimov fight, about how Crawford is this master with the mutant gene and the X factor, and he can walk on water, he can turn water into wine. They're really taking it up a notch coming into this fight.
Concerned about him getting old because he has had 67 or 66 fights, whatever that number is. I'd be more concerned about that because I don't judge, and the old timers didn't either, fighters chronologically as much as I do by the amount of fights they've had and the amount of punches they've taken. I judge them that way. I judge their age that way. So in that way, I'm looking at the opposite of most people. I'm looking at Canelo maybe getting, you never know when he's going to get old all of a sudden in the ring. And again, the resume, I get it. I say it again for all my beautiful Mexican fans out there, and you guys are great.
See, when he has to say beautiful Mexican fans, you guys are great, he's laying it on too thick. And I think that's because Canelo is a mainstream attraction. And when you're a mainstream attraction, you attract a lot of casuals. And I have seen some Canelo fans going overboard. Whenever Canelo gets criticized, they do go overboard and, no, Canelo can do no wrong. The only, people accuse me of being a Canelo fan, but the only thing, because we made a lot of videos on this channel in the build-up to the fight, and we made a lot of videos centered on Canelo, but that's because there were a lot of things being said across the mainstream media about Canelo, besmirching his skills, and we just decided, you know what, we got to balance the scales a little bit and offer people, when you offer people a product, you don't just tell them about the good things of the product, you sell them the things that your product has that is lacking in other products, the things that the special features you have vis-a-vis the other products. So that's all we were doing. Crawford is a fantastic fighter himself, but people were really underrating Canelo Alvarez. And after a couple of weeks, in the first weeks of August, we did start seeing more and more people start saying, hey, you know what, Canelo's actually quite skilled. Why are people overlooking his fight IQ? So that's interesting right there. So I understand why Teddy Atlas is going with the whole, I love my beautiful, proud, strong Mexicans. Like, come on. Just what do you say that about every other race or every other ethnicity every time you mention them? Hey, shout out to my strong, cold-hearted Eskimos. They've got ice in their veins. They can take it all. They murder their babies when things get too tough. It's like, well, what? What are you talking about, Teddy? But yeah, he's laying it on too thick. But I understand the internet. Listen, the internet can drive you nuts with all these crazy commenters or commentators and people leaving comments and if you, God forbid, you make the wrong pick, people just come at you afterwards. You got the wrong pick. You got the wrong pick. You don't know shit about boxing. It's like, holy smokes, people really are worried about whether somebody gets the right pick, a pick correctly. I get the pick wrong. I get the pick wrong. What do you want from me? Who said I was Nostradamus? Shout out to Random Guy, by the way, for reestablishing his membership program. Shout out to Random Guy. Welcome. Oh no, he didn't establish it. He joined for the first time, I believe. New member. All right. Shout out to Random Guy. Really appreciate it. Now you get the special emojis and the badges. People don't use those enough in the chat. Look at this. I'm gonna post them. See, you can post special emojis there. Here's the one of the guy riding a cock. You know what that means, right? Cock, riding cock. This one's my favorite though. When people say he's got that dog. Look at that. There's a dog right there. Gonzalo's the one that pointed out it looks like a puma or something, or like a wildcat, a great feline. But it's actually supposed to be a dog. But it's very small, the icon, so you can't really see it. All right. So shout out to Random Guy for that. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like, hit the like, hit the like. Hopefully you're enjoying the show. Let's go back to see what old Teddy Atlas has to say about this fight.
Canelo's got the better resume. But the resumes ain't fighting each other. The fighters are. the fighters are getting in there and fighting, not the resumes. I haven't seen a resume throw a jab yet. Have you, bud? You've been around with me your whole life. Have you seen a resume
Do you
throw
hear that? He's starting to drool.
a jab? No, I don't think so. So everyone Crawford has been put in with, he's beaten. That I know. And I know the way he's beaten them. I know how smart he is. I know how talented he is. I know
how big his dick is. I mean, that's what I'm waiting for.
Special he is. That there are certain qualities he has that I'm banking on that are not the qualities that you can really put on paper. They're not the qualities that there's a real metric for.
What does that mean? Again, that's the same thing he said over Ring TV. The intangibles, right? That's what he's getting to. The intangibles. What are those intangibles, Teddy? Are you going to tell us at some point? At some point, are you going to break this fight down with some metrics, some visible metrics that we can quantify, or at least qualify? I mean, he's just the intangibles.
You can really put on paper. They're not the qualities that there's a real metric for. That is easy to identify, like I said, on paper. Oh, speed, power, elusiveness, legs. No, there's other talents, other qualities, and he has those.
Yeah.
And then he doesn't explain. He's never going to explain what that is. So you know what he's talking about. He's talking about that X factor that he brought up, the mutant gene. Crawford's going to go in there and start shooting lasers out of his eyes and lightning bolts out of his asshole. I mean, come on, what are those intangibles? And this is the same guy, this is what he said in the beginning of the video.
Very awkward style in its own way. So people don't look at that. They don't look at the things, obviously, that I'm looking at, being a trainer, being in the business of boxing my whole life, 50 years of it.
50 years, and that's the best he could come up with. Crawford has intangibles that you can't quantify, that you can't put on paper. It's not like power and foot speed and hand speed. It's things that I'm able to see. Hey, now listen, maybe Teddy Atlas, he's not exactly the most articulate fella out there, the most eloquent, and that's why he's unable. But maybe he sees something. It's possible he sees something, he's unable to explain it. But shouldn't you, after 50, he's a trainer. He's not just a commentator, he's not just an analyst, he's a trainer. He's supposed to be able to convey the information. Imagine he's training a guy, and by the way, maybe that's why he's never really had that much success as a trainer. Imagine he's training a guy and he goes, hey, listen, I see things in your opponent. He doesn't have your intangibles. He doesn't have your X factor. You're the new car. He's the old car. It's like, okay, but are you going to tell me at some point, hey, maybe, he drops his hand after he jabs. Maybe he resets his feet a little too often after he throws and we can catch him in between. Like something that you can see on video. Teddy Atlas isn't doing any of that. He's telling you, he's bragging about he's been a trainer for 50 years. But the best he can come up with is eye test, intangibles, and he loves Terence Crawford.
So
where was that
best
part?
International fighters in the world. And he had a very deliberate style for more fight. He passes the eye test of Crawford. I would say.
Yeah, that's the part right there.
I say I love Crawford. Say I love Crawford. I would say I love Crawford.
I think I saw that table go up a little bit. Did you guys see that? That table jerked up a little bit, like there's something down there pushing upward. I don't know. As soon as he said, I love Crawford. You know what happened here? It's almost as if he pictured Crawford shirtless. And that's why there was a little pause and he started laughing. Like a little schoolgirl.
I would say I love Crawford.
See that how there was a little pause there after he said, "I love Crawford. I just love Crawford. Love everything about him."
I say I love Crawford. I love Crawford. I would say he passes the eye test. Yeah, I would say.
Look, sounds like Teddy Atlas really loves what he's watching.
The eye test. Everyone he's been
Atlas really likes what he sees from Terence Crawford.
You're mine now, so I'll let you go. You are mine. You are my meat. You're my possession. Go!
I gotta tell you, disturbing to be watching this type of stuff in the morning. But I mean, listen, Teddy Atlas could be right. And like I said, to his credit, maybe he's just not explaining it properly. That happens. Sometimes there's things that I want to say, even with my advanced vocabulary and my olive smooth voice, I just can't get it through. Sometimes it happens. But he's had a couple of weeks now to be able to, what's the word I'm looking for here? So you're talking about advanced vocabulary, to elaborate more on what he means by intangibles and how this fight is going to go down. And he's yet to do it. Maybe he'll surprise us and get it done on fight week. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention is, if you have Netflix, and you should already have it for this fight, Netflix recently dropped the Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford countdown shows. I'm not sure what they're calling it. I don't know why it's coming up with me in Spanish. Maybe it's already, it's mailed that I'm a Mexican. Maybe that's what happened. I don't know what they're calling it. Canelo versus Crawford special, or whatever. So anyway, they dropped the special episodes. It's 2 countdown shows, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on them real quick. But before we get to that, shout out to Rapax Trucking Company. Shout out to Rapax Trucking Company, 10-4, who says the women in Mexico hate Canelo because he practices machismo and won't hold the Turk's hand, and the men don't like Canelo because he rabbit punches women. Well, I mean, hold on, Rapax. I think you should say allegedly. I don't know where you got this rumor from that he's rabbit punching women, but you should say allegedly. Otherwise, they're going to come after you. I know you live the life of a trucker. You're always on the run. The midnight rider. They can't catch you. But you never know in today's world. So you should be careful with what you always say allegedly before one of these comments. But he says the women in Mexico hate Canelo because he practices machismo. Hey, that's something that that might be true. Maybe they dislike, when he called Oscar de la Hoya maricón, which is the Spanish slang for derogatory comment against homosexuals. But shout out to Rapax Trucking Company for reestablishing his membership. Oh no, it's a super chat. What am I talking about? It's a super chat. So shout out to Rapax for that. Now, as I was saying, they recently did those 2 episodes of the countdown shows, and there wasn't a lot of interesting content in it. It was like the standard countdown show. You see Canelo training. He's talking about how important this fight is for him. Same with Crawford. They interviewed Mike Tyson, Roy Jones, Manny Pacquiao, and a couple of other figures about how important this fight is. The whole world will be watching. We did see some training footage, but it was very vanilla. It was rudimentary. Not a lot of meat in those bones. The most interesting part, however, was footage of Canelo Alvarez sparring Yuen Lee Hernandez, the aforementioned Yuen Lee Hernandez. You might remember him as that aggressive Cuban, undefeated, who just recently defeated Tyrone Davis. This dude is 6 feet 1 inch in height. He stands at 6 feet 1 inch in height. Strong guy, come forward guy, and he was sparring Canelo, and they showed you tidbits of it. The highlights were mostly relegated to one guy throwing a punch and then cutting to another guy throwing a punch, 2 minutes later. So we didn't really get to see too much of how they worked their way up to the punch, how they got close to each other, the intangibles, as Teddy Atlas would say. But it was interesting to see how they were throwing leather in there. And there were some points where you saw Canelo on the ropes trying to counter. So I think he's training for this as if it's going to be a war. They're training as if it's going to be a war, and I like that. Because I don't want to see Canelo just go in there thinking he's going to go through the motions and get a win. Crawford is going in there. Look, we know he's not going to be the smaller guy by that much, if at all. We've already gotten it from the horse's mouth in Crawford. We've gotten it from the hippo's mouth in Bomac, when they both said they're not cutting that much weight anymore. They're actually more comfortable now because they don't have to cut muscle. And Bomac said Crawford should have been a 168 a long time ago. In fact, shout out to, I think it was Bray. If it wasn't Bray, my apologies, but I think it was Bray who posted this on our Discord. This Andrew Ward talking about how, again, reiterating what these guys are saying, that Crawford is actually going to be at a bit of an advantage at this fight because he's no longer going to be cutting weight as much as he had at 147 and maybe even 154.
And I kept using the phrase, I'm moving up in weight. I'm moving up in weight. I got to get my body ready to move up in weight. He said, have you seen the scale lately? Have you looked at your body scan lately? And I think at that time I was like maybe 185, 188. He said, you're not moving up in weight. You're just cutting less. And that was like, man, that was transformative for me because I looked and I was like, man, you're right. So technically I'm moving up weight classes, or a weight class in my case, but I'm really not moving up in weight. I'm just not having to boil myself down. So Jackie Shield stuff. And I kept using the phrase.
Hold on, that's looping here. And then he posted another clip. Hold on a second. This is a second clip, the continuation.
So I think that Terrence is going to be a lot stronger, and I think he's going to have better endurance. Not being able to boil himself down like that. And even though it is a huge jump, I think we lose sight of the fact of how much he had to boil down and how gaunt he looked at 140. And even quickly at 147, it got to the point where you start to cut into muscle mass.
All right, so we know, okay, so this whole thing of Crawford's going to be the smaller guy in there, maybe he will. But by how much? I don't think there's going to be a 20, 30-pound difference on fight night the way there was when Roy Jones fought John Ruiz. So the people that keep harping on the size difference, I don't think there will be that much of size difference. This fight is going to come down to skills, chins, maybe who wants it more, the timing. I mean, I'm telling you things you guys already know. I'm sounding like Teddy Atlas now. I'm sorry. Of course, it's going to come down to other things other than I don't think the size difference is going to be that marked or that, what's the word I'm looking for here? As apparent as people make it out to be, or as strong or as wide as people make it out to be. And this is something that brings up something that we've talked about before, weight bullying. People have said, oh, there's no such thing as weight bullying. These guys are clearly doing this. They're cutting 20 pounds and then rehydrating 20 pounds or maybe more thanks to certain modern techniques via snack and all that. And people always say, well, it's part of the system. It's part of the system. You know, that's the way it works. I'm not arguing whether it's happening or not, because obviously it is. That's not what I'm arguing. I'm arguing, should it be happening? And just, when you bring up something as, hey, maybe, this guy's weight bullying. Hey, man, it's part of boxing. Okay, you're telling me what the thing is. You're not telling me why it should be that way. It's just if you bring that up to somebody, it's like, hey, man, my cousin was brutally raped and beaten. That fucking sucks. These people are, there's animals out there, blah, blah. And somebody goes, and I say, well, that's wrong, man. That's wrong. And somebody goes, well, that's life. People get raped in life. Okay, but that's not what we're arguing. We're arguing about how fucking horrible it is and how what can be done about it. And that's the same thing with weight bullying. Should it be allowed? Should a guy be allowed to weigh in at 135 one day and then 36 hours later he's weighing 165 pounds? Whereas his opponent weighs in on the same night at 150, let's say. 15-pound difference. Oh, it doesn't make a difference. It's about the skills. Then why are these guys fighting in weight divisions that they shouldn't be at in the first place? What, they're just doing it for the fun of it? They like to cut weight for the fun of it? Or is it because it gives them an advantage? Like, hey, ask Devin Haney why he used to do that at 135 pounds and 140. When he kept telling his opponents at the weigh-ins, you're too small, you're too small. He said it 4 times. I mean, he said it to 4 different opponents. You're too small. Why is he saying it for the fun of it? Oh, no, he's trying to psych him out. Okay, he's trying to psych him out. So we got him saying it, but you try to dismiss that. We got the stats of him weighing over 160 pounds against lightweights. Because remember, when he did that, Suleiman and Bill Haney had that famous interview where they were going at it. In 2021, Suleiman told Bill Haney, your son rehydrates over 160 pounds on fight night. And initially, Bill Haney thought that that Suleiman was insinuating that Haney had missed weight. When did we miss weight? When did we miss weight? And then Suleiman said, no. He weighed 160 pounds on fight night. And then Bill Haney goes, oh, okay, yeah. He didn't even dismiss it. So even as a lightweight, this dude was weighing in as a super middleweight in there. What do you think he's doing that for? Why do you think he's doing that for? For the fun of it? Because he gets his dick hard? No. Likelihood is because it's an advantage. Hence why he tells his opponents, you're too small. Because he knows he has an advantage in there with the strength and the size. Look at the size of Haney's head, by the way. Easter Island head right there. But nobody sees anything abnormal with that. His head is getting bigger, by the way. Is that HGH or something? I don't know. Anyway, you guys already know my thoughts on this. Enough of that. What are people saying in the chat, by the way? Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like, hit the like, hit the like. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the show. Windy City says, I'm barely watching it today. Red, white, and blue. I don't know what he's talking about. Hopefully he's not talking about the show. You should watch all of it. Team Batman Boxer says, defense isn't there. He's not only getting beat, he's most likely getting stopped. He's talking about Crawford. Goldrilla says they call a Victor for some snacks. Oh yeah, gotta get those nightly snacks in there. Al Cuerpo Boxing, shout out to Al Cuerpo, says, well, if there's some underground school of boxing, invite only on how to nutsack TKOs. What? Nutsack TKOs. Is that the Andrew Golada technique? Random guy says, bueno, Haney puede pesar 300 libras. He's saying Haney could weigh in 300 pounds. He still hits like a little girl. I mean, like a lady. Yeah, it's true, man. That's one thing the snack doesn't help with, the punching power. Langsbury says, Inoue the same weekend too. Who will be pound for pound number one after that weekend? That's a good point, Langsbury. That's a good question right there. We're going to have a lot to talk about after the fight, that's for sure. Pugilism says, between Bivol and Plant, said at plus 400, Vegas can't afford Bud at plus 150. I went with Fulton and lost, and we both went for Fury beating Usyk. I can't land them all, but we know Bud is winning. We don't know that for sure. Random guy says they sound like homosexuals when they talk about Crawford. I don't have anything against the LGBT, but damn, keep it in the closet, guys. BDA never makes it public. Well, what is there to make public? I like the ladies. What do you want from me? I'm telling you, I'm not a fancy guy. I'm vanilla. I like ladies. I like women. And I like to get it over with as quickly as possible, because the more you spend engaging in sex, the farther you are from the true path to the Crimson Cross, the farther you get away from divinity and the grace of God. But if you do it quickly and only for procreation only, you are as pious as they come. All these people, oh, I love sex, I want to have sex. You're an animal. Sex is supposed to be for procreation only, and you're supposed to get it done as quickly as possible. People always, nowadays, you go to the sex therapist. Oh, what about the woman? You got to give her pleasure too before. I don't give a shit about her pleasure. Pump out the babies and that's it. That's what they're supposed to be there for. And if you get off every once in a while, hey, take that as a bonus. All right? The hell are people talking about? All right, listen. I don't know what's going on here. You guys got me talking about subjects that have nothing to do with boxing, and I blame it all on you. But speaking of Crawford versus Svetlana in the chat says based inseminator. Based inseminator. That sounds like like an industrial band, techno-industrial band or something. Based inseminator. I gotta put that up on the marquee here. There you go. But the Crawford versus Canelo fight, it's coming along nicely. There's a lot of hype. I think it's gonna be a big success for Netflix, obviously. But something I don't like is Ring Magazine. They're starting to put in a couple of they're putting out a lot of posters and stuff like that, which I can appreciate, but I don't like some of the caricatures they're doing of Terence Crawford. Check this out. This is from Night Murph. I still haven't been able to confirm whether Ring Magazine will really put this out there. Look at this. Ring Magazine. Terence Crawford has his sights set on another undisputed throne. Look at this. Why is Terence Crawford's face melting? And why are his eyes going upwards? As if he's St. Christopher or something. As if he's in a bout of divine ecstasy or something. Look at that. And the size of those lips. And I mean, come on. Who drew this? I know caricatures are supposed to accentuate and exaggerate someone's features. But to that point, I mean, come on. Look at that. And Night Murph said that you could find that picture, that they took it down apparently off of Twitter, but he said that you could still see it on the threads section. I looked for the threads section, by the way, on my Twitter. I couldn't see it. I could see replies, media, and reposts, but I couldn't see threads. And I tried doing it on my phone too, which I don't usually use my phone to browse the internet. but I couldn't find it either. So if somebody can explain to me what the difference is or how you find that. But why? I mean, look at this. Why is his face melting? Like the Wicked Witch of the East or something? Or was it the Wicked Witch of the West? I forget. I mean, come on. Hey, by the way, talking about homosexuality, if you know all the names and you can sing along with all the songs from The Wizard of Oz, you might be a little light on the loafers. That's all I'm saying. Oh yeah, so there's that. And then I found this. I was looking for this on Google. I was looking for this image. I wanted to get to the source to see if it was real. And then I found this. This is from Fight Posium. They sell fight merchandise and fight gear, and they also do caricatures. And they did this old school Ring magazine cover that looks like it's straight from the 1930s. And look at this. They got Terrence Crawford looking like an alien. The eyebrows going downward, like he's sad or something. They made him look like a crack fiend. I mean, come on, man. What is it? What are people trying to tell us via these Crawford caricatures? That he's an ugly guy? That he's disgusting to look at? Don't tell that to Teddy Atlas. He's going to defend Crawford to the death, let me tell you. Don't forget to hit that like, fellas. Hit the like, hit the like, hit the like. Really helps us out. What else do we got? All right, so enough about Crawford versus Canelo. We'll talk more about that fight as it gets closer. Deontay Wilder was on the Errol Hawani show, and he's talking now a lot about the Ngannou fight. He told Ngannou to step into the ring. Guys, it seems like this fight might just happen. It might just happen. Wilder said, respect, but I'm 10 toes down. What does that mean, I'm 10 toes down? At least he didn't say, I'm touching my toes. I'm ready for you, Ngannou. But well, that would have been weird. But he says, no fear, no fold, no fake. Why does Wilder always talk as if he's Dr. Seuss or something? No toes, no down, no fear, no fold, no fake. Speak it, believe it, achieve it. Speak it, believe it, achieve it. Always ready, he says. Always solid. Always tight. That's what Deontay Wilder is saying. He's ready for Ngannou. He's ready. He's tight.
Tight, yeah!
Every muscle must be tight.
Yee, ski.
And then he continues on by saying, step in the ring and you'll see what that means. But it wasn't only that. Crawford continued being very festive when he did a video calling out Ngannou and telling him, be careful what you wish for. Let me show you the video in question here. And you'll see what I'm talking about. Come on. It's taking his sweet-ass time in loading, well, that's for sure. All right.
Let's go!
All right, first of all, I have to ask. He's throwing a couple of right hands, loading up on them. I mean, that's not that scary or intimidating. And also, why are there a bunch of... Yeah, right there. Why are there disco lights in the gym? What does Deontay Wilder get up to when they close the gym down at night? And this light comes down, starts spinning, and you start hearing the music. The music comes out. What is that about? I don't get it. Why is there disco lights? Is there a restaurant too there? I don't get it. Disco lights in a gym. I've never seen it before. You know, the lights come down and then you start hearing this. I mean, I gotta tell you. I don't know what's going on with Deontay Wilder, man. Let's remember Deontay Wilder's the guy who he said some questionable things. He wanted to get pregnant. He wanted to feel what it was like to get pregnant. He had the Holy Spirit inside of him. I don't think he said the Holy Spirit. I think he said something was inside of him. The spirit of his ancestors, I think it was. So who knows what's going on there? Who knows what's going on there with Deontay Wilder? By the way, and then the people he hangs out with. I found that I'm looking for that clip. I think it was scrubbed from the internet. But if you go to one of our channels, one of our videos from way back, I'm talking about like 4 years ago. I played the video there where he's hanging out with the two gay guys, the two gay designers. Deontay Wilder is such a great guy. When he came in, he had a car that looked like it was designed by Giorgio Armani, but it was done in the ghetto. I was like, what the fuck? I remember somebody said that those two guys sounded like demons. And then some guy that wasn't used to the show, the humor of the show, goes, demons? Whoa, you guys are going too far. And I said, I don't think we're going far enough. But yeah, I'll try to find that clip here. Unfortunately, it's not that the clip straight up. You know, you hear us yapping in the background, commenting on it. But I've been looking for the. I know I had the video saved somewhere because I was gonna use it for a. I didn't use it for the best of 2021 compilation, but I was gonna use it, but I couldn't find it anymore. They took it off the internet. Maybe Deontay Wilder got his lawyers on the horn and said, "Hey, listen, this video is too damning even for me. It's too humiliating. Well, can we take it down or something?" And maybe they scrubbed it off the internet. Do you guys hear that story a couple of years ago? This half Asian girl, a Hapa is what they call him, did 3 videos with some of the most notoriously sleazy pornographers out there. I think it was called Cum Mops Volume 2, I think. Or I forget what it was called, but it was just, like the type of where she gets gangbanged from both sides, from all angles at the same time, spitting, I think some urination as well. What do they call it? Waterworks is what they call it in the industry. Just the most heinous things. I mean, even I have had a hard time jerking off to it. And it turns out that her father was the vice president or CEO or some banking institution. I'm talking a high up guy, probably a billionaire. With all his money and all his power and all his might, he tried to have those videos scrubbed from the internet. Couldn't do it. You just can't do that from the internet. And for some reason, this video of Wilder talking with these 2 dudes, they have managed to scrub it off the internet. So I don't know how they managed to do it. Maybe that billionaire guy can get Wilder's handlers on the horn and find out how that gets done, because I couldn't find the video. Couldn't find it. But I played it on one of her shows, and I'm looking for it right now, hence why I'm prevaricating so much. What is this? October? I think I have it here. So I'm going to play it for you later on, if I can find it. Shout out to everybody in the chat. By the way, James Burrell says, what was her name? Lil Tay? Lil Tay. I don't know, man. It was a Hapa. I think I can find the name here, but it's somewhere in my files. My archives, as I like to call them. Double L says, BDA always lets the degenerate side come out. Well, I'm telling you I'm a degenerate. But because by telling you that I'm a degenerate, you know what to watch out for. There's no secrets from Beaster BDA, that's for sure. Pancho Villa says, what's the name of the video of the rich guy's daughter? Everybody wants to see it now. I don't know what was it. I'll try to find it later. I know I got it here somewhere. But it's a cautionary tale about how you should, no matter how much money you have, there's nothing beats a heart-to-heart relationship with your daughter, and to keep her as clean as possible and let her know that, listen, guys out there, we all want to get a little some on the first date, right? But ultimately, we respect a woman who holds out, especially if she's got wife-like material in her. If she's got those qualities, those intangibles, as Teddy Atlas likes to say. But this dude evidently lacked that, unfortunately. Or maybe it was the mother's fault too. I don't know. Look, who am I to cast aspersions on this dude? I don't know him. But and by the way, apparently she kept looking at the camera and smiling, almost as she was sending a message to her parents, like she was trying to piss them off by doing so. Team Batman Boxing says, Crawford will get made into silly. He'll get made to look silly, he says. Doesn't move his head and not nearly as quick as you believe. Canelo's left hook is much quicker than anything Crawford throws. That's a good point right there. Your boy Neto Garcia, shout out to Neto, says, Ming Lee. It was Ming Lee, he says, kind of cute. Well, apparently what happened with that girl was after she made those 3 videos, she retired from the industry. She made her mark. It was a brief but eventful foray into the world of adult entertainment. And she ended up retiring. And apparently now she has a Instagram page where she tries to do like homemaker stuff. Like, what's the word I'm looking for here? Like, she shows you how to take care of your home. Kind of like Martha Stewart. But I think she had to close it down when people found out who she was. And, I think people just kept asking her, when are you going to do a Cum Dumpster Volume 4? Are you going to be in the new Cum Dumpster feature? And I think she just got tired of that. But shout out to Cum Dumpsters. I'm looking for the video here that I told you about, because now I really want to play it. The Deontay Wilder, because I want people to know I'm not making it up. People out there, listen to me being outlandish sometimes, and they think, BDA made that up. I'm not making this up about Deontay Wilder and the designers. I think I got the video here. Hold on a second. Give me 2 seconds, fellas, please. 2 seconds. I think you can bear with me. Take another sip of your coffee, tea, whatever. Let me try to find this clip here. Oh, come on. Please tell me that it's here. Yeah, I think it's this one. Hold on a second. Just have to scroll. This was from a 2021. I'll give you the name and the link of the video that we did. You guys can see it for yourselves. You can see it's not AI generated. It's not fake. It happened. Deontay Wilder preview show. That's what it's called. Here we go. Give me 2 seconds. I even had to change the color of the fucking video so they wouldn't get copyrighted. Actually, you know what? Maybe now I don't even know if I should play it. Because if they're taking it down for a reason, could they take this stream down if I choose to play the video? Okay, I'll show you a screen cap that I was indeed playing the video.
I don't like this costume shit and the people that he's...
See, that's recognized. Listen to recognize the bigot talking about this episode. Look at that, see? And you can tell, I'm trying to zoom in here. Look at Deontay Wilder's eyes as he's being flanked by these two monstrosities. Look at his eyes. That's the look of a guy who's clenching his ass as hard as he can. Instinctively, he's clenching those ass cheeks. He's probably got a corkscrew in the ass just to prevent anything from going in there. Which is kind of bizarre because he sounds like he's a guy who would enjoy that. But anyway, let's see what Recognize had to say about that.
But I don't like this costume shit and the people that he's... Hi, Wilder. How you doing? Like, what the fuck is going on here, man?
He looks way too comfortable, and no offense, but he looks way too comfortable around those people. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it, man. It is what it is.
He's a businessman, probably.
You can't polish a turd, man. Doesn't matter how he comes in. The gift might look wrapped on the outside. It might be really, really nice, but if he's still shit, he's still shit.
Absolutely.
Great breakdown from Gazella right there. Talking about the guy's gonna come in with a nice costume and everything, but he still looks like shit.
Yeah, right. And, this one right here, it means a lot of red, a lot of distribution. Yes, to display, to say. And then we're just gonna continue to bring you guys the funk.
All right, anyway, that was it there. Shout out to everyone in the chat, Pugilism, Team Batman Boxing, General Defcon. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the show. We got MKVI in the chat. He's rooting for Crawford. We all know that. But shout out to everybody in the chat. Team Batman Boxing says, wishing on a star. I mean, listen, there's a lot of people are afraid. I saw MKVI in the Discord was like, Bucho, he loves Canelo. He has to keep defending Canelo. And I'm thinking, where do people get this? You can't make a pick nowadays, and you can't break a fight down without people accusing you of being in love with a fighter or hating another guy. That's a very LDBC-like take. I expected more from some of the people on the Discord, I gotta tell you. Now, speaking of the Discord, Deontay Wilder, somebody posted this clip of Deontay Wilder because he was on the Helwani show, and he's talking a lot about, again, this whatchamacallit, Ngannou fight. It looks like it's gonna happen. And I'm, like I told you guys a couple of episodes ago, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's an intriguing fight. Two big punchers. They're both past it a little bit, but the power's still there from Ngannou, I would assume. I don't think the power's still there from Deontay Wilder. Not the way he looked like when he fought in Kansas. Whatever happened there. But check this out. Deontay Wilder's very excited about the fight, and he's looking forward to exciting fights. I've never heard anyone other than myself use this term, though, to describe a fight. Check this out. Oh, shit. Hold on. It's not it.
As you mentioned, you got the Canelo and Crawford fight, in Vegas. It's going to be a major skeptical of a fight. And you got On Location, which is the official experiencer provider for the fight. skeptical of a fight. Skeptical of a fight.
First of all, now I really dislike Deontay Wilder because I've been trying to for years now, decades even now. I've been trying to use the word skeptical and turn it into a positive thing. Like, hey man, this hamburger was really skeptical. You know, it's good. And like always, it never catches on. People call me an asshole, a fuckface, a jerk off. Stop trying to make things cool. Stop trying to make things popular. Stop trying to come up with your own terms. And it's going to be the story of my life if now all of a sudden Deontay Wilder says it and everybody starts saying it. No one's going to give Mr. BDA credit. Poor Mr. BDA never gets any credit. Story of my life. I'm getting pissed off here just thinking about it. But yeah, he's saying that Canelo versus Crawford is going to be a skeptical fight. And I agree. Been saying it for years. It's going to be a skeptical fight.
Skeptical of a fight.
A skeptical of a fight. Let me tell you something. Deontay Wilder, I don't know if it's a good idea for him to keep fighting. Especially a heavy-handed guy like Ngannou. I mean, I know it would be a skeptical of a fight, but if he gets really hurt in there and takes another beating, I don't know if his vocabulary is going to get any more advanced. And let's not forget, but Deontay Wilder, all kidding aside, those Fury fights, the second and third ones, he took a beating in that one. And a knockout is not really going to deplete you as much as a long, prolonged beating. A prolonged beating will really do it to you. And that's what he took in there against Fury. So, he's got to think about his health too. I like I said, I want to look at I want to see the fight. It's going to be a skeptical fight, as Wilder said. But I don't know if it's a good idea. Then again, these guys are maniacs. They're going to do whatever they want to. What are people in the fight saying? Ngannou is going to... LT says Ngannou's going to poop on Wilder. All right, that's an interesting take right there. A very skeptical take, if I may say so myself. MKVI says no one should fight her after... I think he's saying nobody should be fighting after 40. It's even worse for brain health. Well, I mean, obviously there are exceptions, right? But the exceptions are there for a reason. They're called exceptions for a reason because they're the exceptions that prove the rule. After 40 years of age, yeah, you're right. It's not the best idea to be engaging in pugilism. Starting to engage in a fist fight with people, which that's essentially what the boxing is. It's a fist fight. And once you get to 40 years old, if you've had a 20-year-long professional career, maybe it's time to slow down and say, hey, I want to do something else. Earl Stevens says, Alabama idiot. Come on. Don't go after the good people of Alabama. Come on. MKVI says, yeah, I'm going for Bud. Deal with it. I mean, I can deal with it. I don't have a problem with anybody picking or rooting for their respective fighters. Though LL says, Wilder has baby power now. Baby power and baby powder on that ass. Let me just say that. The power wasn't there. A lot of his power had to do with his speed. And that speed and that snap on his shots just wasn't there in Kansas City. No, excuse me, it wasn't in Kansas City. It was in Wichita, Kansas. But, hey, maybe, listen, to be fair to Wilder, he was coming off a 2-year layoff? Well, the last time he fought was getting knocked out by... So, yeah, it was over a year layoff. So, it's at his age, okay, maybe that's why he didn't look as fast as he used to, especially, like I said, at his advanced age. But if he doesn't have that snap against Ngannou, could be trouble. Bray... Come on, man. Bray says, I think he should keep going. I enjoy watching him get knocked out. I'll tell you, boxing fans are a bloodthirsty bunch, and I'm unsurprised by that statement. Now, the other thing on the docket here, don't forget to hit the like. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this morning show. Hopefully it's getting you through the morning. Getting back to some other news, Joseph Parker versus Fabio Wardley. It looks like it's going to happen. In a lot of ways, yeah, I do kind of feel bad for Joseph Parker that he's not getting that Usyk fight so that he gets a chance at the undisputed heavyweight championship. But on the other hand look, boxing is a business and people just aren't all that enthralled at watching Joseph Parker fight. But he's taking on a tough dude in Fabio Wardley. Yes, Wardley leaves much to be desired from a boxing technique standpoint, but he's heavy-handed. And I know it takes a lot more than just one punch to knock out Parker. You're going to have to wear him down the way Joey Joyce did. But it's a dangerous fight for Parker nonetheless. And he's not a Huni type fighter. He's more of a long-range guy who doesn't press the issue. So I think he could outbox Worley, especially since Worley keeps insisting on doing that shitty Philly shell actually that he has, which leaves him open for jabs. So I think Joseph Parker could outbox him, and the jab would be the key to that, obviously. But I don't know. It's a tough fight for Joseph Parker, and it would be taking place as soon as this year, as soon as October the 25th. So next month, essentially. My goodness gracious, that would be an interesting fight for sure, and I'm looking forward to it. In other news, Jaime Munguia has been cleared of PD use, and his win against Bruno Surasi in a rematch continues to stand. The failed PD test was a false positive caused by accidental contamination with pregnenolone, a legal non-banned substance. So apparently the levels of his blood test were high, but they were able to trace it back to the source, and this was done so by the... he was initially flagged for a banned substance by the voluntary, by Bavada in other words, but then Munguia's team requested that the B sample be tested. He also came back positive, but further review of the samples cleared him. It's interesting because a lot of people were saying, first of all, the way they were saying this on Twitter initially was Jaime Munguia will not be suffering any consequences from his positive test. Those were the headlines that I was seeing on Twitter. So they were making it seem as if Munguia had been accused and found guilty of having two positive tests, the A and B sample, but that he would not be receiving any penalties. That's the way they made it seem with in the headlines. And then finally they clarified and they said that he was cleared of any wrongdoing. So I don't know. I don't understand why people decided to go with that narrative at first. He will receive no penalty for the positive test, as if he was found guilty, but nothing was going to happen. Then finally they clarified and they said that he'd been cleared of the PD test. But that's not going to stop people from keep besmirching Eddie Reynoso's name and keeps using that false figure of 7 fighters. 7 fighters have tested positive in the Reynoso camp. Canelo was exonerated, and he was exonerated not just by the WBC because the WBC felt like it, but because he submitted a follicle sample, a follicle test, which is, from what I understand, can trace back substances from months prior. So in other words, if you use something 6 months earlier and the blood test doesn't detect it, the hair follicle will. The reason why they don't use a lot of follicle testing in VADA and all these other organizations is because apparently it's very expensive, or it's more expensive than the standard blood and piss test. Blood and piss, that's a good name for an album. But, so Canelo was cleared of that. So was Ryan Garcia, incidentally. He also submitted a follicle test that came back negative. The reason why he was suspended was because of the strict liability clause, and also because he failed to disclose the supplements that he was using. So that's another thing that people just want to talk about. They just keep repeating, oh, he used steroids. So Canelo, Garcia, and by the way, Garcia didn't even test positive under Reynoso. Same thing with Luis Neri. So those 3 tests, they don't apply to Reynoso. Valdez used a diuretic, I think. Hardly a steroid. And now Munguia has been cleared. So anybody that still wants to use that 7-fighter figure, we know you're doing it in bad faith. But then again, we already knew that. Ascended Awakening Astral. Okay, come on, that's gotta be a troll. That's a troll account right there. That's a troll account. They all dirty, man. Shit. All right, now the other thing I wanted to talk about then was Teofimo Lopez and Shakur Stevenson. They've been going at it on Twitter. That's a fight that might end up taking place. The Sheik obviously wants it. I think he'd be willing to put the money up for it. So if everything works out and we don't see any craziness from Teofimo Lopez, because that's really the thing that we're all watching out for here. Is Teofimo Lopez going to somehow ruin this fight? The Devin Haney fight was on the docket. The Sheik was willing to spring the money for it. And then Teofimo Lopez came out. First, Teofimo Lopez's handler said, oh, it's because, too short a turnaround time between the Barbosa fight and what they wanted for Haney. And on top of that, he's got some issues going on right now that are more important than boxing. And then the next day or a couple of days later, Teofimo Lopez goes, no, it was about the money. Apparently that Sheik had guaranteed him a certain figure and then reneged on that figure, which I don't know if the Sheik really did that, or maybe there was a clause in the contract that said If you don't perform a certain way, we can renegotiate the deal. Whatever. Teofimo Lopez didn't want it, and he dogged that fight. But if he fights Shakur Stevenson, that sort of nullifies the docking accusations because he's taking on a guy that the boxing hipsters love in Shakur Stevenson. This dude is a master at boxing, even though he couldn't deliver what he promised against William Cepeda. But that's what's going on here. Shakur Stevenson, Teofimo Lopez negotiations, making the progressions for a January fight. So we could be seeing that fight in January. And you would have to assume that it would be, yes, it would be for the undisputed 140-pound championship on January. And both guys were going at it already. They've been going at it on Twitter. First of all, the fight itself. It's a very interesting fight. I already see a lot of people thinking that, or saying that Shakur Stevenson is going to wash Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez doesn't have anything for him, which is kind of what we heard in the build-up to Garcia versus Haney. Oh, Garcia doesn't have anything for Haney. And, I mean, if you analyze both fighters, you could tell that, yeah, Garcia has plenty for Devin Haney. And it's the same thing here. Teofimo Lopez has very quick reflexes, would probably be the quickest guy that Shakur Stevenson has fought. He's got heavy hands. Okay, he's not the power puncher that people made him out to be back in the lightweight days, but he's heavy-handed. He's got good instincts. And I understand why people are picking Shakur Stevenson to beat him, because I would also pick Shakur Stevenson to beat him. I just don't know if he's going to school Stevenson the way people are making that to be. For example, the main point of contention here is Lopez's inability to fight guys who box him. When they when they force him to make the first move, Teofimo Lopez looks lost out there. We saw it against Subriel Matias. We saw it against Jermaine Ortiz. That being said, Subriel Matias pivots more than Shakur Stevenson. Shakur Stevenson really likes to lean back and leap back. So maybe, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's going to give Teofimo Lopez trouble. But at some point, if he plays his cards right, Shakur Stevenson is going to back up himself up into the ropes the way he did against William Cepeda. So there is that. Or maybe even if they keep it in the middle of the ring. I don't know if Matias and Ortiz moved a lot against Teofimo Lopez. But although Matias was punching on the pivot, kind of like Terence Crawford does, by the way, very similar technique. But whereas Matias was actually trying to counter Lopez, Jermaine Ortiz was really just on his bike. He ran a lot in that fight. He would clinch. He was a back foot bitch performance. So anyone's going to have trouble with that type of fighter. In fact, Lomachenko had trouble with Jermaine Ortiz. And Jermaine Ortiz was doing a lot of clinching in that fight too. A lot of holding. I don't know, referees for some reason, I think they like watching two men holding on to each other. But, so yeah, Jermaine Ortiz didn't really put much offense together. And we know Shakur Stevenson doesn't really punch all that much when he's fighting guys who can crack. So if he beats Teofimo Lopez, I don't think it's going to be as dominant a performance as people make it out to be. I think it's just going to be an uneventful fight where it's mostly going to be Lopez's fault at being unable to cut the distance against Shakur Stevenson. But I obviously already know what's going to happen. It's going to be probably like a close decision for Shakur Stevenson in an uneventful, boring fight. And people are going to call that a masterpiece from Shakur Stevenson. I can already see it coming. But yeah, so like I said, Shakur Stevenson and Lopez, though, were going at it. The way they're going at it, it makes you think that they're going to be exchanging against one another. And it's going to be a skeptical of a fight, as Deontay Wilder would say. But here's what was going on. What the fuck? No, that's Deontay Wilder right there. Now, this is what I wanted to show you. This is a tweet. Shakur Stevenson said something about... somebody said something about the fight being close to be made and that it's going to be in Riyadh season, blah, blah, blah. And Teofimo Lopez said, that's going to make this victory sweeter for me. And Shakur Stevenson, of course, couldn't help himself. He just has to... Anytime somebody mentions him in social media, Shakur Stevenson has to reply. He came out with saying, victory, you can beat me if I tie two hands behind my back, Lil Tio. Why is he calling him Lil Tio? Now, I don't know if you guys have seen the photos of Shakur Stevenson standing next to Crawford. He's about as big as Crawford. Obviously, Crawford's a little bigger, but Stevenson looks like a middleweight in there. So for him to be calling Teofimo Lopez Lil Tio, I don't know. It sounds like snack is at play here again. All these snack fighters like Devin Haney and Terence Crawford weighing 177 pounds, or walking around 170 plus pounds and then boiling himself to 147. How is that possible? Oh, he used to be a wrestler. Yeah, way back in the days in high school, right? He's a 35-year-old guy cutting 30 pounds. That's insane. Everybody does it, guys. No, not everybody does it. Stop saying that everybody does it. I don't see I didn't see Lomachenko doing that. I don't see Inoue doing that. For some reason this is allowed. But anyway, yeah. Listen, Shakur Stevenson, I think he'll beat Teofimo Lopez, but he's gonna need two hands to do it. That's all I'm saying. The other thing about it is, hold on a second. Gotta take away some of these articles here. I don't know if you guys know who Dan Canobio is. He's a commentator on Twitter. He has a show with Chris Algieri. And he recently made some comments about this fight, saying that it's going to be a boring fight. That's what he said. It's going to be an uneventful fight, to be a little bit more generous. I like to call it uneventful rather than boring. But yeah, he said that it's going to be an uneventful fight. So what he had said initially was, let me put it up here. He said, Teofimo Lopez vs. Shakur Stevenson has all the makings of a snoozer. Counterpunchers with output in the low 40s. There's probably 3 or 4 fights in their divisions I'd rather see them in, but I'll still be watching. So he got some flack from in the Twitterverse. And Andre Ward, renowned for his less than stellar and less than entertaining fights, posted this GIF. Really, bro? Like kind of like talking down on Canobio. You know, in other words, saying, you don't know shit about boxing. You don't appreciate the sweet science, blah, blah, blah. So he said, really, bro? And then Canobio snapped back by saying, that's exactly how I look at you when you post your annual comeback video for attention. Oof. Mamma mia, as Mauro Ranallo would say. I don't know if you guys know, but Dan Canobio's father is Bob Canobio, one of the co-creators of CompuBox, I believe. And if Twitter had a punch stat right there, you know, a CompuBox metric, it would say Canobio threw one shot and he landed that shot. That he's at 100% connect rate against Andre Ward. I don't think Andre Ward replied. If he did, I didn't see it. But Canobio got him with a zinger right there. And I mean, come on, really, is it really that much of a disrespectful comment to make that the fight's going to be a snoozer? We all know it's going to be a snoozer. Like he said, it's 2 counterpunchers. Shakur Stevenson is going to be leaping back like he did against De Los Santos, against Nakatila. Lopez is going to be punching from too far away, getting off balance after he overreaches with the right hand to the body, like he did against Ortiz and against Subriel Matias. And that's probably what it's going to be like. It's an uneventful fight. The only reason we're going to be watching it is because it's for the undisputed 140-pound championship. But other than that, yeah, are we going to be rubbing our hands in anticipation for it? No, absolutely not. By the way, shout out to IBFP who was here on the show on Wednesday. That was a fantastic show. We got a lot of positive responses to it. Shout out to IBFP. Everybody go check his channel out. And he mentioned that, because we were talking about whether Keyshawn Davis and Shakur Stevenson were ever going to fight each other. Because, you know, the whole thing about him is that they're brothers and I ain't never going to fight my bro. I ain't never going to fight my bro. That's my brother. And I said, look, I'm skeptical. I think these guys, the reason why they don't want to fight each other is because their ego wouldn't be able to handle losing to the other guy. And I still think that eventually these guys are going to go from friends to enemies and they're going to fight each other at some point. But IBFP was saying that it's kind of pathetic how some of these dudes won't fight each other when it's a sport and it's a business of boxing. You should be able to fight it. You should be able to put your differences and your friendship aside for one night and say, look, nothing personal, it's just business. But with these dudes, it's always personal. And then this is the comment that IBFP mentioned. Check this out. Listen to what Shakur Stevenson had to say.
I'm going to tell y'all in advance, and y'all can call it whatever y'all want.
I'm
going BTO, yes,
Vacate
get the
it.
title, and I'm going to vacate, and Keyshawn could
I
get that
respect
belt.
it.
That'll be his belt. Advance. And y'all can call it whatever. Get the
Vacate it.
title. Yes, get the
Vacate it.
title, and I'm going to vacate, and Keyshawn could
I
get that
respect
belt.
it.
That'll be his belt.
So he's not even going to defend it against Keyshawn Davis. Like, I'm going to win it, and then I'm going to hand it out to you. I'm going to put it in, wrap it up in pink wrapping, put a nice little pink bow on it. I'm going to give it to you. And then we're going to eat chocolate-covered strawberries. I mean, come on, man. What if Keyshawn Davis is the next best guy in the division? by the time Shakur Stevenson beats Lopez, or if he beats Lopez. What happens then? You're not going to fight each other? I can understand that Klitschko's not fighting each other because they were brothers. That now when you're talking, like Abdullah Mason, they asked him about that. They go, would you ever fight a friend? Would you ever engage a friend in a boxing bout? And he said, look, as long as we're not blood relatives, anybody can get it. That's what he said. That's a real fighter's mentality. These guys, they don't want to fight each other. And it's despicable. Like, again, history is replete with guys who fought each other and they remained friends afterwards. Are you telling me Shakur? But I'm telling you, all this is just blah, blah, blah from these dudes. He my brother, man. He my brother. If as soon as something happens, let's say those guys spar each other and Keyshawn Davis gets the best of Shakur Stevenson and then Shakur Stevenson starts feeling weird about it and it sticks in his craw, that's going to be the seed, the starting point, the launching pad for these guys hating each other. Floyd Mayweather and Zab Judah were friends, but after a bad sparring session, they became enemies and they fought each other to the point where Judah ended up blasting Mayweather's nuts in that fight. And they hit him with a rabbit shot. So, and then they became friends afterwards again. But for a period there, they were enemies. So I don't buy this whole we're brothers crap. Maybe they feel that way now, but believe me, one bad comment or one comment that somebody takes out of context on Twitter, man, Shakur Stevenson, why'd you say that? Why'd you say that on Twitter? And then they start going back and forth, and next thing you know, they will be fighting. At least that's my hope. Hey, listen, you can wish upon a star, right? Now, this is another interesting tidbit here that made the news in boxing. Roy Jones Jr., one of the best pound-for-pound fighters ever, one of the best fighters ever. You guys know the story. He fought in the 1988 Olympics, and he got robbed. It's considered one of the worst robberies in amateur boxing. It was so bad that the Olympic committee reviewed the rules and actually started implementing computerized boxing scoring in order to avoid such robberies. In fact, it only made it worse, just like same-day weigh-ins. I mean, the day before weigh-ins, rather. But that's what it ended up becoming. It was still a bad robbery. It was still a robbery, excuse me. And it always seemed to stick in Roy Jones's craw that he never got that gold medal. But before we get to that, shout out to JVX for his contribution with the super chat. Shout out to JVX says, Nello will punch through Bud's guard. I watched several of Bud's fights, and I think his guard is actually a weak point. That's why guys weigh 200 pounds versus Canelo. That's a good point. Crawford's guard really is a weak point. He's shown it in certain spots, like against Kavalauskas, some parts against Madrimov. The most I've ever seen him use his guard was when he sparred Carlos Adames. When he sparred Carlos Adames a couple of years ago, he was using a guard. But that was after a couple of rounds of sparring another dude. So maybe he was a little bit tired and he just said, let me just put the earmuffs up and try to walk Adames down. But I don't know, man. With the added weight, maybe Bud's guard is going to be stronger. I don't know what you guys think. Let me know what you think in the comment section. But shout out to JVX for his contribution with the super chat. In the chat, what are people saying? Team Batman Boxing says, it's only boxing banter, mate. Don't get upset. It's all good. The real Mosista says, LOL, this motherfucker is deleting some of my comments. Now, we don't delete comments over here. I think Google does have an automatic thing there where they scrub some comments. The only thing we have on lock here is if somebody says racial slurs. I think those get deleted automatically. So if you're yelling at a bunch of racial epithets like a maniac, then yeah, that's probably why they're getting deleted. Team Batman Boxing says never seen. Okay, so he's going at it with MKVI, I think. Real Mosista says this will be the last time my last time on this stream. You're literally just straight up talking to yourself, parroting your own bullshit. Why y'all boxing streamers? Why y'all streamers? Y'all never shut the fuck up. That's what we do. That's why we're streamers, because we're talking, and we're actually talking to people out there. There's people listening. You're listening to us. So yeah, there are people listening to us. I'm not just talking to myself. This guy got off on the wrong side of the bed this morning. Jeez Louise. Calm down, man. Team Batman Boxing says them. Okay, so he's going after MKVI there. Bray says Shakur never fought a slick American fighter. Hey, you know what? Teofimo Lopez could be considered a slick American fighter. Jaime Alvarado says Keyshawn Hold On Davis is trash. Well, we'll see how he looks at 140. Because at 135, he looked huge. Did you see how big he looked compared to Baranchik? But again, weight bullying, that there's no such thing, right? Doesn't exist. Hey, if you make the weight, you're okay. You're not a weight bully. Doesn't matter if you outweigh a guy 30 pounds on fight night, because the day before you made the weight, that suddenly erases everything else that comes afterwards. Casamigos Cal says, I rewatched it, and honestly, I think the Korean fighter beat him handily. You know what? I haven't seen the fight in a long time, but you never know, man. It's like the Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali had a very close fight when he won his gold medal. But you know what? Olympic boxing, that's why I kind of hate it. Olympic boxing, which is the highest level of amateur boxing, it's kind of boring because the guys, they're just fencing. Neither guy wants to commit. They're all sort of leaning back, jabbing off the back seat. You know, they'll jab and then they'll step away real quick, and they're not even putting all their power on the jab or a lot of power on the jab. And they're very close affairs. Where if you rewatch Keyshawn Davis versus Andy Cruz, it was a hard fight to score. I think Cruz did get the best of it, but you have to rewatch it a bunch of times to really get it correctly. So, Olympic boxing, it's kind of hard to gauge. But anyway, 35 years later, or damn near that, I believe. What's his name again? The Park Si-hoon. Park Si-hoon ended up showing up to Roy Jones's Florida gym and handed over his gold medal. Apparently, Hoon had a hard time after winning the gold medal because everybody called it a robbery. They went at him as if he was the guy who told the judges, "Hey, man, give me the gold medal." Apparently, he actually went to depression because of that. And that's one thing that sometimes boxing fans we get wrong. We tend, when a guy gets a robbery or is the beneficiary of a robbery, we tend to make it seem as if he's the guy that orchestrated the whole thing. It's the judges. Sometimes the fighter, all he can do is just stand there, and what's he gonna say? The other guy should have won. Rarely is a fighter gonna say that, because then if he does say that, his promoter's gonna rip him a new asshole. It's like, what the fuck you doing? You're not supposed to admit it. So anyway, long story short, Hoon didn't really have anything bad to do in this whole thing. I mean, he boxed, he trained, he got to the final, and then whatever happened there happened. So it's not his fault, I don't think. Maybe, wouldn't it be funny if he did pay off the judges himself directly? Gave him a couple of egg rolls or something, a couple of coupons for some 2-for-1s at a Korean barbecue restaurant or something. But listen, all kidding aside, it's an interesting gesture. And we got video here from Roy Jones's own channel. Hold on a second. Yeah, okay. I was just trying to see if there were some new comments. I'm going to read the comments soon here again. But this is Park Si-hoon handing over his gold medal to Roy Jones.
Then I think there's something rotten in Korea, because that is...
Let me fast forward here.
To get in the ring.
Good.
Wow.
All right, so that's when they meet for the first time.
So good to see you again. What's up, brother? How you feeling? You good?
Wow.
Is that Roy Jones pretending to be happy to see him? Maybe he wants to beat the crap out of him. I don't know if there's an underlying tension there. Wow. I want to kick your ass.
But that's he's weighed 36 years.
Wow. So good to see you, my brother. Wow.
Yeah, I think he wants to kill the guy.
Wants to get in the ring.
Imagine they get in the ring and the guy starts wailing on Roy Jones the way Raja did a couple of weeks ago. He body slaps him and starts beating him up. You fucked up my life. All right, but let's see this heartwarming moment here.
서울에서 내 홈에서 이 금메달을 가져갔습니다. 근데 지금은 내가 잘못된 걸 알고 지금 로이 존스 주니어의 홈에서 내가 이 메달을
He won the gold at the time. He had the gold, but he wants to give back to you. That it belongs to you.
Yeah, that is a humble gesture there from Hoon. You could see Roy Jones. Listen, we're all a skeptical bunch nowadays because of the internet. We're all very cynical. People look at videos and they go, that's fake, they're faking. It seems like a genuine moment here from Roy Jones. And why wouldn't it be? Because, it's interesting. People look at Roy Jones's career. He was considered invincible at one point in his career, pound-for-pound king for a long stretch. Titles in multiple divisions, went up to a heavyweight and beat John Ruiz, a guy who outweighed him by about 30 pounds, I think. That a lot of accomplishments. the gold medal apparently still means that much to him. And I started thinking about why it would mean so much to him still to this day after everything he accomplished in the pro ranks. But the Olympic gold medal, that's something that he had his sights on for a long time. I mean, think about all the training that was put into his career, the Olympic trials, everything to get, then not only to get to the Olympics, which is hard enough or difficult enough, now he has to get to the finals. You got to beat a whole bunch of people to get to the finals. Then he gets to the finals, he beats this guy, and they take away that medal from him. So you can tell it still means a lot to the guy. Just being handed as a symbolic gesture.
Wow.
Now, I don't know why he's slapping himself. He's punishing himself or something. I don't know. No, but you know what? Yeah, that's it was a good moment there to see the guy giving the medal down. You know, even apparently Roy Jones said that after the fight, when they were in the middle of the ring, he asked Hoon, or he asked the translator, he says, ask Hoon if he really believes he won the fight, and Hoon said no. So even that dude for 35 years, he knows that he didn't deserve it. But in the comments, LT says, yeah, that's Roy Jones trying to act. To Matador says, Hoon found out it's not real gold. Yeah, he found out it's not real gold. He says, fuck, I don't want this. I bet you he tried to pawn it off. He tried to take it to a pawn shop. They offered him like $50 and something. He said, you know what, let me just give it to Roy Jones. Come out as a good guy for doing it. Yeah, that's Tomato says he took it to the pawn shop. It was chocolate filled. Yeah. It was filled with chocolate. Oh man. Hey, imagine he takes it. Imagine it's not filled with gold, but he gives it to Roy Jones, and Roy Jones is looking at the gold medal. He goes, why the teeth markings? Why the teeth marks on the gold medal? And it turns out the guy was trying to bite into it, like Homer Simpson, thinking there was chocolate in there. MKVI says being robbed of gold was the biggest travesty. It's arguably harder than the most big pro achievements. Yeah, because you know if you have a fight, a pro boxing fight, and you lose it by controversial decision, you can always get a rematch. Usually you can get a rematch. Olympic, getting to another Olympic final, you know how much you got to go through just to get to the Olympics, like I said, and they get to the final. So yeah, that's a big-ass, long-ass journey, and it explains why Roy Jones was so sentimental about that gold medal. Bray says, I've heard several fighters say that winning an Olympic gold medal was their first dream. They sacrificed their childhood, so it makes sense that it would mean that much to them. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. The way you described it makes a whole lot of sense right there. What else do we have here? Hold on a second. We got more news, I believe. Oh yeah, so I saw this piece of news a couple of days ago, and maybe somebody can clarify whether this is the case or not. Hold on, what the fuck? I'm trying to copy paste links here, and it's not working for some reason. Give me 2 seconds for it. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like, hit the like, hit the like. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this BDM morning show. What time is it now? 8:34 a.m. We've been on for 2 hours now. Okay, hopefully you guys are up and running now. All right, for some reason I can't copy paste this link here. Hopefully it works now. Oh, I'm sorry. I know what's going on here. I had something bad selected. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like, hit the like, hit the like. All right, here we go. So I saw this piece of news on Twitter from Chava. He's the guy on ESPN, the Spanish side of ESPN. He'll often break news. He's got good sources, apparently. He said, Fernando Beltran has informed me that David Picasso has reached a deal to fight Naoya Inoue on December. WBC president or the WBC organization has mentioned that on the 27th of December could be the date for the fight. Inoue, though, has to get past Akhmadaliev on September the 14th in Japan. So we know Inoue usually gets one of those December fights, right? He usually has a year-end fight, usually on New Year's Eve or about near New Year's Eve. But I gotta tell you, man, fighting a guy like Akhmadaliev in September and then fighting a tough guy like Picasso a couple of months later, that's we were talking about how Kovalev fought in August against Yardi and then a couple of months later in November took on Canelo, and people were saying that was a short turnaround, which it really wasn't. But this dude is fighting Akhmadaliev. He's not fighting fucking Yardi in there. He's fighting Akhmadaliev. He still has to get past him. And then Picasso, who's a tall, rangy guy, young guy. Again, I think Inoue beats Picasso, and I think he beats Akhmadaliev. I think most of us do. I mean, he's the favorite going into the fight, but it's a tough ask for him. And the other thing is, from what I understood, Nakatani is going to be in attendance for the Inoue Akhmadaliev fight. So they're trying to set that up. They're trying to set up the Inoue versus Nakatani fight. And I think Nakatani was given privilege by one of those alphabet organizations that he was ranked number one in one of those organizations right off the bat at 122. So that would be a mega fight between two guys who are looking invincible in Inoue and Nakatani. It would be huge in Japan. That would shake the ground. That would be the most significant event in Japan since, well, actually, you know what? Let me not go there. But yeah, that would be earth-shattering. But so would it be too much of an ask for Inoue to fight Akhmadaliev and instead of fighting Picasso in December, fighting Nakatani? I think so. And I think that's why they're choosing to fight Picasso in December and then Nakatani, if all goes according to plan, in 2026. But man, that's quite a schedule for Inoue. And that's why a lot of people have him ahead of Terence Crawford. In fact, Ring Magazine and ESPN have him ahead of Crawford. And certainly Usyk has to be ahead of Crawford as well. What are people in the chat saying as it pertains to this? Jin Ryu says seismic. Manos de Piedra says Inoue fights the best competition. He definitely does. MKVI says Inoue might get chinned one day. That's true. Bud Crawford era says Inoue has a glass jaw. He can't take a punch. Well, he can take a punch. It's just that at 122 now, with some of his defensive liabilities, he's getting his ass put on the ground. But I don't think his chin is. You know, a guy who had a glass chin was Amir Khan, because he would just get touched and he would start doing the baby deer dance. That's a weak chin right there. Pugilism still going on about Canelo Crawford. All right, so there you go. That's what we got so far. Manos de Piedra said, "Can Inoue prevent a bombing? Can Inoue prevent a bombing and keep Japan safe?" I don't. Man, listen. As long as he doesn't capitulate after those two bombs, he should be okay. Pancho Villa says Picasso can beat MJ and Picasso. No, he says Picasso. I think he meant Inoue. Inoue can beat MJ and Picasso at the same time. Neither fighter has power. I think that's what he meant. I think he meant Inoue instead of Picasso. So that's what's going on there. I'm looking forward to this MJ fight, but it's not as intriguing as the Crawford fight because, you know, Canelo looked like crap against School. And so that's and on top of that, Crawford is his pound-for-pound stalwart. So a lot of people are intrigued by how that's going to happen. If it wasn't for Canelo looking subpar against School, this fight wouldn't be nearly as entertaining as it is right now. Whereas Inoue versus MJ, a lot of people figure Inoue is just going to be too quick, too powerful for MJ. But I think he's still going to have to watch out for MJ Akhmadaliev because Akhmadaliev can crack. He's wily. He's got some experience despite not having that many professional fights. He's fought some tough cookies. So we'll see what happens. Now, the other big news here, this just happened yesterday. Mike Tyson and Floyd Mayweather have agreed to terms on a spring 2020 exhibition bout. They already have a poster up there. It would take place on November the 14th this year, obviously. And it was first reported by TMZ Sports. So now people are saying, first of all, isn't it interesting how Mayweather always has to try to one-up Canelo? Whenever Canelo has a big fight, Mayweather always has to try to come out with something of his own. You know, whether he's announcing an exhibition fight or whether he's announcing that he got new hair plugs, he always has to try to one-up Canelo. He beat Canelo in the ring. Isn't that enough? Why does he feel like he needs to do this to Canelo? It's very interesting. I don't think Canelo cares, nor should anyone else, because it's a very transparent issue here. But Mayweather versus Tyson. Would Mayweather be doing this if Tyson hadn't looked like crap against Jake Paul? I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, Mike Tyson looked like he was in his 70s. Bad knees, drooling in the ring. When he sat down in the corner, he was making weird sounds. Reckon I was always laughing about that when Tyson sat on the stool, he going, he was finished. But anyway, Mike Tyson has even confirmed that the fight, or so-called fight, is going to happen. He said, "This fight is something neither the world nor I ever thought would or could happen. I still can't believe Floyd wants to really do this. It's going to be detrimental to his health, but he wants to do it, so it's signed, and it is happening. Again, Mike Tyson, yeah, he looked like crap against Jake Paul, but he still outweighs Mayweather by a good, what, 50 pounds? 220. Let's say Mayweather goes in at 160, and Tyson goes in there at 215. It's about 45 pounds in there. And this ain't a Mayweather who's been, Mayweather was having a hard time against, what's the other guy's name? The other Paul. Nate Paul? No, what's his name? Logan Paul. He was having a hard time with Logan Paul. And like I said, I know Tyson looked like crap against Jake Paul, but that was a guy who's younger than him, about the same size. Mayweather looked bad against the other Paul. And I know he was outweighed too, but this is a Tyson that can crack. So you know this exhibition, Mayweather is not going to change. The only reason he's taking this is because Tyson showed vulnerability, and Mayweather is going to run in that fight. He doesn't care about people. And anybody who's crazy enough to bite... No, there's been some exhibition fights. Like, I was intrigued by Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. It was still an old Tyson, and I said, yeah, Tyson's going to look like crap probably. But then part of me was also saying, what if he doesn't? It's still Mike Tyson, blah, blah, blah. The whole thing that a lot of us ended up believing prior to the fight. But this is Mayweather. He's going to stink out the joint. He doesn't care about the people out there. He doesn't care about the fans. This is just a money grab from him because he needs the money. It's not coming in the way it used to when he was an active professional fighter. And once he gets in there, he's going to run. You know this. So this is a fight that's, when they say, must-see TV, this is must-avoid TV. Don't buy this. Actually, hold on. Let me rephrase that. Because I know Rafael Shapiro, my attorney, is gonna call me if I word this incorrectly. It's up to you whether you want to buy the fight. But if you really think it's going to be an entertaining fight, if you really think Mike Tyson is going to go in there and ice Mayweather, it's very unlikely. Because Mayweather is going to run, he's going to clinch, he's going to try everything in his power, and he might just be able to do it against Mike Tyson's knees. He's got the knees of a 50-year-old prostitute. Those are some bad, worn-out knees. So, and who knows if it even happens. But I think it's interesting. I think Mayweather saw how bad Tyson looked. He saw the money that Tyson and Paul made. He's looking at this Jake Paul versus Davis announcement. He's looking at all the attention Crawford and Canelo are getting. And he's thinking, I want to get mine too. I want to get a little bit of that too. Plus a little money too on top of that. Because this is going to be seen as a risk for Mayweather. A couple of things here, and then we're almost done, fellas. Don't forget to hit the like. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this morning show. A couple of other things in the news, one of which is, hold on a second. All right, hold on. Yeah, okay, so here's the other news that I want to talk to you about. Thurman Fundora. It's taking place this year, right? Let me just look at October, I believe. Pay-per-view. You know how I told you Mike Tyson versus Mayweather was going to be an awful fight that I will not be paying for? This is one that I'm considering buying, actually. September the 3rd, actually. No, that's the press conference. All right, there you go. So it's going to be in October. Thurman Fundora. I am intrigued to see how it's going to look. The undercard isn't bad. Obviously, it's not pay-per-view worthy, but once the pay-per-view comes on Saturday, I'm going to pull the trigger probably and go, yeah, I'm going to watch this shit. What else am I going to do? I'm going to go out, spend money on overpriced drinks and overpriced food? Nah, get it out of here. There's nothing to do anymore nowadays. At my age, it's better to just stay home and enjoy boxing with people so that I can be fresh the next day and talk about the fights. But anyway, Thurman and Fundora had a press conference, and Thurman was very animated. Thurman was very animated trying to sell the fight. Some people thought that it was, I saw some comments there, people were saying, Thurman is cringe. And I agree, sometimes he can be cringe, especially in the build-up to the Pacquiao fight when he said that, Pacquiao is a Christian. He's a Christian man. He's a great Christian man. Well, guess what? I'm going to crucify him. Yeah, that was cringe, especially since he ended up getting beat up by an older guy. But in this one, I got to tell you, I think he was trying to liven up the press conference, which usually these things tend to be quite boring, especially the PBC ones. You got the guy from the concession stands talking. You got the guy from who's sweeping the floors in the arena talking. Everybody and their mother gets to have something to say on the dais during this press conference. So shout out to Thurman for trying to make it entertaining. Here's what he had to say.
This is what I live for right here, baby. Championship boxing, world class, the top of the sport. Like I said, if you don't like boxing, I'm gonna get you to.
By the way, Fundora, everyone's saying he looked like a cartel member. I think he looks more like a 1970s Iranian nuclear physicist or something. Isn't this one of those? He looks like one of those dudes that was holding the Americans hostages during the 1970s. He looks like a Bollywood star, a singer.
Watch boxing. If you like boxing, I'm gonna get you to love boxing. And if you love boxing, like boxing, I'm gonna get you to love boxing. And if you love boxing,
Why is he turning into a hick all of a sudden? He's turning into a hillbilly. Ooh-wee, go get some moonshine tonight.
that you don't want to miss this. I'm telling you, I premeditated this fight, man.
I've never heard that term before, by the way, premeditated. Maybe he's trying to tie that into the old boxing trope of I'm going to kill my opponent, blah, 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 premeditated. I know he meditates. I know he's into Zen things. He's into the Lesser Keys of Solomon and stuff like that. Like Second Renaissance type of shit. But I never heard anyone say they're going to premeditate a fight.
We have the potential right here, man. I mean, I'm that child. I go back to the throwbacks, man. What do y'all want? What do y'all want? You want a 12-round fight? Huh? What do you want? Huh? 12 rounds? 6-round fight. You want a 6-round fight? Or you want that Hagler Hearns, baby? You want 2 rounds of motherfucking madness where one of us gotta go. Because when 2 greats go toe-to-toe, blow for blow, someone's gotta fall down.
You know, again, I understand why some people would say that this is cringe. Because, again, I found some of his antics cringe in the past. But this one, like I said, what else was he going to do? Fundora doesn't have he's got the cardboard, what they call the cardboard character, right? The cardboard personality. He's vanilla, bland. You had O'Shaquie Foster and Stephen Fulton. They went at it a little bit. So we're going to play a couple of those clips from that. Jesus Ramos was there too. And he's always humble. He's always like, you know, he's the guy that... he's just happy to be picked up from the Home Depot to work on a roof somewhere. He's just happy for the opportunity to be there. Somebody had to liven it up. Yeah, like Iron Fist said, I like his enthusiasm. Somebody had to liven things up.
Hashtag Timber.
All right, now that was kind of ironic, though. It ended up being ironic, that Timber thing, because I don't know how many of you guys saw this, and I haven't stopped rewatching it since it happened. I keep replaying it over and over. But Keith Thurman, I think he's a little bit too old now to pull this fight off. Because he said Timber, and then ironically enough, check this out. He took a little tumble there. Look at that. So there you see, maybe if you guys aren't seeing it, he's right there on the middle, right next to the dais, on the right side, on the all right side of the screen. Look at that. He's walking, whoopsie daisy. What happened there? I mean, again, I that doesn't bode well for Thurman. He was doing well with the talking. He was doing well with the keeping the energy up and all that, and then he takes a tumble as if he's a 75-year-old guy. Look at that. He's got an uphill battle, literally an uphill battle against a guy in Fundora who's 6 feet 5 inches tall. Thurman has only fought twice. He's only had 2 fights since 2019. He's an older guy, shorter guy. I think maybe he's still the faster guy. But like I said, he's got a tall ask ahead of him. Tall ask. And now he's tumbling in the press conference as if he's fucking Joe Biden. I mean, I gotta tell you, man, whatever confidence you might have had in him goes out the window after this. He's never gonna live this up. And like Gonzalo said, after he said Timber and ends up falling. And here's the other thing. Look at everybody around him. Where's the empathy? He falls, cracks his skull on the floor. Jesus Ramos is just looking at him, smiling. O'Shaquie Foster is standing there, not even trying to help him. And the culprit here, the enemy, or the guy who comes off bad here is Stephen Fulton. Look at Stephen Fulton wearing the gray shirt here on the left. Look at him. He's picking up his bells. Well, he sees Thurman fell, Well, he turns around and see that he's swinging there a little bit there to try to find out what happened. He sees that he fell and he starts laughing. Look at that. The guy broke his ankle. The guy fractured his ankle. The fight's off now. Oh, that's funny. Stephen Fulton, I didn't expect that from you, man. Come on. He's wearing it's apropos that he's wearing the alien t-shirt because this guy ain't human. Where's the empathy? Where's the humanity? Oh, the humanity. But yeah, that's Keith Thurman taking a tumble. I think he was too energized. Maybe he had too many energy drinks, a little too much coffee to try to pump himself up for the press conference, and he didn't mind his footing, and that's what happened. Now, also, O'Shaquie Foster, like I said, gonna be defending one of his 130-pound straps against Stephen Fulton, who's coming up from 126. He just recently moved up from 122, not that long ago. Now he's moving up again to 130 to fight O'Shaquie Foster. These guys were going at it. Check out what they had to say. Or not.
We having to say, Nor fighters, sometimes they speak from nerves, and they just say what they have to say. That's it.
At 130, how do you feel heading into this fight at that weight?
I feel good. I'm a big boy right now. I feel real good. My weight, everything, I feel real good.
O'Shaquie, you said that you're going to send him back down, obviously alluding to the fact that you're going to, have him go back to 126. Do you feel that the 4 pounds make a significant difference in this fight?
Not really just the 4 pounds. He coming from 122, if we being real. He fought at 26 twice. You know what I mean? I really still feel like he really a 122 pounder. He just walk around heavy. So, I mean, I think it's definitely gonna play a factor though, for sure. I mean, I'm not looking for it too. I think my skills gonna pay the bills, but we'll see when we get in there.
But does the size advantage in your mind give you a bit of an edge?
By the way, they're talking about the size advantage. If you look at the when they're facing off against each other against one another in at the end of this press conference, they look about the same height, and they're both wearing thick soles, sneakers with thick soles. So it's not like, if it was Stephen Fulton wearing thick sole sneakers and this other guy was wearing slippers or something, okay, I could understand them being the same height. But they actually looked about the same height, and then I looked it up on Champignon.info, and again, be wary of Champignon.info because they tend to get the stats wrong. But Stephen Fulton's he's listed as being 5 feet 7 inches tall, whereas O'Shaquie Foster is listed as being, hold on a second, I think just an inch taller, maybe. Hold on a second. Oh, an inch and a half taller. But it didn't seem that way when they were facing off. I'm gonna try to show you later, but let's keep hearing what they had to say here.
I never really looked at size. It's all about skills. It's all about skills. But we'll see. Come fight night, we'll see if the power that I bring.
All right, I thought they were gonna. Okay, now here's they started going back and forth a little bit here.
This matchup, I'm a dog. I don't really be caring with how big people be. None of that.
There you go. See, Stephen Fulton. Somebody had to say in the press conference, "I'm a dog. I got that dog.
I'm a dog. This shit ain't nothing to me, man. I'm moving different."
I done fought the biggest, the strongest, I done been through all that shit. I don't be caring. I really don't be caring. So the power is not gonna matter to me. I'm big too. They looking at
Well, Shaqie Foster's looking away like, what is this dude talking
past
about?
weight classes. I done outgrew that weight class before I lost. You're looking at past weight classes. I've been at 122 since I was in the amateurs, 123. I just moved up last year, fought 2 times and became 2 division world champion. I'm about to do it again. I don't care about all that, who's bigger, all that. I don't care about that. I don't care about that. You know what I'm saying?
All that talk dead. That shit, you going back down and you gonna defend that title.
I ain't going back down at all. I'm staying right where I'm at right now.
Dead.
I fuck around, move up again right after I conquer this.
Yeah, after you get fucked up, you gonna have other options. I heard they talking about.
You saying everything you're supposed to say right now, man. Saying everything you're supposed to say.
Hey, I'm the champion. I'm gonna say what I'm supposed. Hey, yeah, and I mean.
Who else got a belt over here?
Hey, and I mean everything I'm saying.
champ, right?
I mean everything I'm saying. You know,
you can know.
Everybody know.
I don't know it. I don't even know you. I know who you are, but I don't know you.
All right, so they were going back and forth, and like I said, look at look at them facing off against one. Look at this; they're about the same height. I think Champion.info has a look. See that they're both wearing sneakers, and they're thick-soled sneakers, and so I don't see anyone having the platform shoes or anything like Al Pacino. So I think someone's exaggerating, or someone's being. I mean, they look to be about the same height. So maybe the weight differential isn't going to be as prominent as people are making it out to be or expecting. Also, O'Shaquie Foster saying, you're going to go back down after I fuck you up. I mean, O'Shaquie Foster ain't fucking anybody up, really. Rocky Hernandez, that's because the referee forced O'Shaquie Foster to fight in that bout. And he managed to get a stoppage, but he almost got stopped too, a couple of seconds before he got the stoppage. So, power isn't really his forte, and he tends to have these close fights because of his style. He's Shakur Stevenson light. He leaps back a lot. Not the most active guy or the most accurate. He had a close fight against Abraham Nova, and you saw Raymond Ford. People accuse Raymond Ford of looking bad against Nova, but I think Ford looked a little bit better against Nova than O'Shaquie Foster did. Then obviously Foster also had those close fights against Conceição. Even the Ray Vargas fight, it was a very uneventful fight. It was just Ray Vargas' ugly ass being unable to pin down a guy like O'Shaquie Foster. But other than that, O'Shaquie Foster is not the type of guy that puts a stamp on the fight, at least not usually. Again, he made his mark against Rocky Hernandez, but that's because the referee told him, hey, no more clinching, or I'm going to take a point away. And then O'Shaquie Foster was forced to fight. So if he forces himself to fight against Stephen Fulton, hey, maybe he could make something interesting happen. But I don't know. I'm expecting this to be a tactical fight. What's his name? Fulton can fight on the inside, but that's usually when his opponents take it to him, like Figueroa and Angelo Leo. Other than that, he's comfortable fighting at long range. So this is going to be a long range fight. I still don't know who I'm picking to win this one. Definitely the guy with the most experience, believe it or not, is Stephen Fulton. At least experience in the respective weights, because he fought Inoue, and he lost to Inoue, but at least he fought him. He's been in the ring with one of the best pound-for-pound fighters, if not the best pound-for-pound fighter. On top of that, he's fought tough guys like Angelo Leo, Brandon Figueroa twice, Daniel Roman. So he's got experience. But O'Shaquie Foster shouldn't be overlooked either, because he's just as quick, if not quicker, perhaps even, than than Fulton. So we'll see what happens with that fight. I'm intrigued. What people saying in the chat, the Matt Chatter, that's Matt Chat, says Foster by unanimous decision. The Bud Crawford era says Fulton has zero power and boots can't help him train. Yeah, the power even at 122 wasn't even all that. I don't suspect that it's going to be even better at 130. Mesivar says Fulton might be a smidge taller. Yeah, he might be even, huh? HJ92 says O'Shaquie's got a troll face. Oh, come on. I knew someone was gonna. Yeah, he's an unusual looking guy, that's for sure. But calling him a troll face, I mean, come on. Bray says Fulton using the weight as an excuse for why he lost to Inoue. I just don't buy that, because the main reason you cut that much weight is to have a big physical advantage. Yeah, listen. Inoue outboxed him and then stopped him. So it's not like Inoue out-muscled him or anything. J. Cole says Fulton got an unstoppable tattoo after Inoue starched him. Laughing my ass off. I'm with Foster on this one. Oh, there you go. So Foster's got some fans. Hold on a second. Real quick, I got to scroll up here, and it's not letting me. All right. Bud Crawford era says that burnt cheek PBC boss kills me. Yeah, it's a wine. What do they call it? A wine stain, right? Isn't that what they call it? A wine mark or something? Like, what was the Russian guy who used to have the big wine stain on his forehead? Was it Gorbachev? It was the guy who took over after the Soviet wall. I mean, the wall fell, right? After the Soviet era collapsed. Anyway, he says Fulton looks fat and out of shape. Yeah, I agree. He kind of looks chunky. That's why that's what him and his friend Jaron Ennis do. They grow the beard, because they tend to get balloon up in weight during fights. So they grow the beard so that they're trying to hide the double chin. I don't know. And you saw the size of Ennis compared to Canelo. He looked as big as Canelo, man. That fucking super middleweight in there. What else are people saying? O'Shaquie Foster said PBC training him back. Yeah, for people who are wondering why O'Shaquie Foster is fighting on the PBC card, let's recall that he used to fight on the PBC. Then he moved on over to Top Rank. Now he's fighting on a PBC card, and I suspect that it's because, remember, Top Rank is in a transitional period right now. They're going to move over to Stars, but in the meantime, they're going to be farming out their fighters to other organizations. So I think Oshaki Foster is still under Top Rank representation, or still represented by Top Rank, but I think they're just letting these guys stay busy, and they let him fight on this PBC card, I think. Unless he's back with the PBC. I don't know. Shout out to Marty McFly for his contribution with the Super Chat. Shout out to Marty McFly who says, first Bradley and now Thurman. Somebody needs to study the connection between the H boxing brain and turning into J.J. Evans from Good Times. Yeah, I mean, these dudes, I mean, Bradley didn't used to talk this way, either at press conferences or anything. Then all of a sudden he turned into Bill Cosby. Ooh, let me tell you something. Canelo getting stopped in there and you know it. He getting stopped. Oh, lordy. And Thurman, however, Thurman's always been consistent. He's always talked like that. He's always been a trash talker or a very agitated and energetic figure at press conferences. What type of fight you want? You want a 12-rounder? Or you want the Hagler Hearth? But yeah, that's I think he livened up the festivities. Because again, it's boring. Like that guy said, fucking the PBC guy with the wine stain on the forehead. You got it's like a freak show in there. It's like a circus act. You got a guy with a wine stain. You got the strongman coming in. You got the midget. You got the two-headed guy. I mean, come on, the Siamese twins. Come on, it's fucking what's his name? P.T. Barnum's gonna step in next from the grave. Just have it. And you know what? I think Keith Thurman's trash talking. It sounds a little bit genuine. It's not too forced. Sometimes it is, but in this case, like I said, somebody had to do it. Don't blame him for that. All right, so I played you the clip there of the guy taking the tumble, Thurman that is. Okay, so we're almost done here, fellas. Don't forget to hit the like. Hopefully you like the show so far. LL says, you got the human snake, a.k.a. BDA. I thought that was the Sobers. That's his nickname, the snake. All right, I want to show you this. Speaking of danger, Ismael Salas is considered one of the most prominent trainers in boxing. He's renowned for his brain. He's a very analytic guy, comes up with some good strategies. He's had guys who can pull off upsets like Rolly Romero against Ryan Garcia. What's his name? A couple of years ago, Ugas against Pacquiao. I think he was training Ugas back then. Unfortunately, his gym has encountered some mischief and some drama. This guy, Carlos Linares, said that there was an accident at the Salas Boxing Academy. And it's not a funny accident like somebody shit their pants in the gym or somebody pissed their pants during sparring. No, siree Bob. Something more grave, something graver. Somebody, a drunk driver, or apparently drunk driver, ended up running into the gym. Look at this. Look at the damage done by that gym. Or at that gym, right? Excuse me. Either that or somebody farted a storm after a bean dinner. I mean, look at that. But I can't see the marks of the car. I mean, there's no skid marks or there's no... So he didn't touch the ring, I would assume, but he ran into the wall and the roof too got fucked up. I don't know. Was it really a drunk driver or is there something they're not telling us? I don't know, but shout out to... Yeah, see, Impala hashtag CCD says, was that Errol Spence? Yeah, that's... Somebody left... People were saying that there was Errol Spence who ended up driving into the gym. Come on, man. Errol Spence, as far as I know, is clean now. The fuck did Knockout Ned just post on the Discord? Ooh, Crawford, he's so fine. I told you somebody was gonna... I told you somebody was gonna clip that. Hold on, let me see if I can play it here. Come on, the Discord's not showing up. Yeah, for some reason, every time I try to screen capture Discord now, it won't allow me to do so. All right, let me download this fucking Knockout Ned with the whatchamacallit, edits. Speaking of edits, real quick, I don't know if you guys saw, but there's gonna be a Street Fighter movie coming out, another live-action Street Fighter movie. The last one that came out had been released, in the 90s? With Jean-Claude Van Damme. They're gonna release another one. But there's more to it than meets the eye, and I'm going to tell you why later on. But yeah, let me just play this here from Knockout Ned, who took my voice and made a video out of it. Hold on a second, that's not it. Hold on. We're almost done here, fellas, so cut me a break. We've been on for 2 hours. What the fuck is this? He made this in the morning, man. A couple of minutes after I said it. All right, hold on. All right, what is this? Oh shit! Ooh, Crawford, he's so fine. Why do I sound more like a Chinese lady when I'm saying that? Oh yeah, because okay, I remember. I was supposed to be sounding like a Japanese schoolgirl, I think. But yeah, speaking of the Street Fighter movie, shout out to Knockout.net for that. Speaking of the Street Fighter movie, we're out here on the YTBC streets, and it's a fight. Every day it's a battle. You gotta watch out. You gotta constantly be on your mind your P's and Q's and be on your toes because someone always wants to get a piece of you. The YTBC wars are still ongoing. And wouldn't you know it, Never Sobers just recently informed us that there's going to be a movie about the YTBC street fight wars. Check this out. Look at the roster here. Hold on, that's not it. There we go. Shout out to Never Sobers. I think Never Sobers made this. I don't know. Look at that. The YTBC Street Fighter roster. Who do we got there? For those of you that are unaware of some of these dudes, let me tell you who's who here. And it's quite a roster, let me tell you. We've got Johnny Boy at the far end there on the left, upper left. You got Foka, looking like a Viking. You got Alonzo. You got yours truly there, the BDA logo, the secret character, the anonymous one. You got OD there with the cigar. You got TY. Why does TY look like he just woke up? You got Black and Brown. You get Gonzalo there looking mean. Look at that. That's the face that Iraqi insurgents made. That's the face that Iraqi insurgents saw. That's the last thing they saw before they went into join the 100 brides, the 100 virgins they got over there in Muslim heaven. Then you got Machad looking like he already took some damage there. Then you got on the lower left, you got LT. Then you got that dude, I don't know his name. He's not part of the YTVC, I don't think. He's the guy that barbecues and does it live. He live streams his barbecues. You got, what's his name? Techno Pigeon there with the glasses. Techno Pigeon, the fly, as I like to call him. That's his fly persona. You got Thunderdome. You got some Afro Anglo there. I don't know who that is. I don't know if that's 150. Then you got True School Sports with the Chocolatito bandana. you got another one of Pigeon's alter egos. That's his more feminine side. They're wearing the wig and makeup ensemble, and you got P Diddy on the lower right. So that's the Street Fighter revealed from all across the world. You got Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, Italian, Germans, Irish people from England, Afro Anglos. You got them all, baby. Can't wait until that comes out. I think it's gonna come out as a 16-bit cartridge, and then it might be there might be a CD release later on with enhanced graphics and music and so on. So, fellas, that's all we got for today. Or that's all we've got here. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the show. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe if you had to do so already. I'm not sure, but I think Bucho's gonna be doing a show later on. No guarantees. But if there is a show, you probably can catch it beforehand, or you can see a notification beforehand, or at least you can see a post on Twitter announcing that there will be a show. And also, if you're part of the Discord, you're probably going to be seeing whether there will be a show later on today in the evening. Probably will be a kumite. I know that's what he was planning. And a kumite essentially are debate shows, one-on-one debate shows. JumpTube says Mirage as a pre-release special unlock character. Yeah, maybe as a secret character. Sanctuary Seeker says the only guy to actually throw hands. Roland. Yeah, Roland is the guy who actually showed up to one of those events there, one of those amateur boxing events. So he should have been out. Yeah, you know what? Who would you take off this list? I would take off that barbecue guy. The guy I told you who's not part of the YTBC. The second guy from the lower left. I don't know who that is. I think maybe they should take him off and put Roland in there. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of characters here at the YTBC. There wasn't enough space for all of them. What do you want from me? Jin Ryu says, what time is Bucho out of the tortilla? At what time is Bucho out of the tortilleria? I think about 5:30 p.m. Eastern time. He goes back home smelling like tortillas, like maseca. Brace says, is Sober's stream still going? I think so, man. LL says they should add quacks. Yeah, they should add quacks. They're not gonna add you because nobody knows what you sound like. You refuse to go online. LL says, "Oh, I don't want to go there. I don't have time to go on a VC." Meanwhile, he's there all night. He's commenting all night, but suddenly he doesn't have the time to go in there. Come on, LL. Stuff. What do they say? Faking the funk. That's what they say in the streets. Mano says BDA is just a computer. Well, see, that's how smart I sound. That people think I'm a supercomputer. Impala #CCD says that looks like the evil Verde handiwork. Oh, you think it was Evil Green who made it? I don't know. I don't know who made it, but shout out to whoever did. Pugilism is still going on non-stop about Canelo Crawford. Jeez Louise, that guy's going to enjoy the fight. Gonzalo came in like a wrecking ball with his scooter and ended up destroying Salas's... Oh, come on. All right, listen, fellas, shout out to you, everybody out there. Thank you for joining the show. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up. On the way out, subscribe if you yet to do so already. Shout out to everybody who donated with the super chat, guys. Really appreciate it. Again, we'll try to be back today with another show. Check out our free Patreon videos on Patreon. Check out some of the videos we've done about Canelo Crawford. Pugilism, I know you're pumped. You sound like you're pumped up for the fight. Check out those videos. And that's all we got for today. Fellas, thank you for joining us. Have a good rest of your morning. And we shall see you on the next one. Take it easy. Thanks for watching. Woohoo! Let's go out on a little Irish jig here. A little Irish lullaby. No, it's not an Irish lullaby, but whatever. The fuck am I talking about? Oh, by the way, I always forget to say, I was forgetting to say, shout out to everybody out there. Shout out to everybody out there, everybody who joined us. I'm talking about, who am I talking about now? I'm talking about Bray, Knockout Ned, LL, Jin Ryu, DJ Big Leg, Boxing Sage, Grim Reaper, Jump Tube, Sanctuary Seeker, Overdose Boxing, LT, Manos, Messibar, Starboy, Impala, #CCD, Iron Fist. If I forget anybody, fellas, because we gotta go. But shout out to everybody who joined us. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. Take it easy. Thanks for watching. Woohoo!